ドリー囚われてキャストフォーリラ素直じゃない It can be true Just a loving you リアルじゃない Let's be in a dream 終わらないキャストフォーリラ夜は続くただ君に会いたくて
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Splat World Series. We're kicking off the 2026 season in the West with our first qualifier here. My name is Kayvon, joined by Pat to start our morning over here for us. But Pat, across the pond, it is the evening. How has your day been so far?
My day was pretty warm. We have still a lot of warm weather here in Europe, but it's getting better. Today was a bit better than yesterday, and we expect the heat wave to get better. So, yeah, pretty good day overall. I still got a lot of sun. You can barely see the room behind me. That should dim throughout the tournament as the sun is about to set. But let's talk now about Splat World Series game. We have 22 teams that have registered and that are here to play this game.
22 teams, which, mind you, as of last night was at 1. So most of the crews participating in this went, oh, there's like nobody signed up for this. I bet I could get a team together and throw my name in the ring. A lot of hiccups across the board today. The number 1 seed in the tournament today is FT Win. They have elected to come together and play for this one. It is a slightly different roster, though. The lower bracket as well. So it looks like a longer road ahead here, Pat, but it's not actually that long to qualify for the Splat World Series finale.
Yeah. You want to qualify. It's going to be big. We've seen how intense, how incredible the level can be here at Splat World Series 26. We've had so much already. I'm so glad we get to cast a bit this series, this qualifier together, K-Bot, and we're going to start with 2 team 37 going against non-existence for the first round. I mean, actually for the second round, because we are not going to stream the first round. We want to show you the best teams we can.
Yeah, so these 2 teams getting a little bit of a glimpse of their team rosters. You see the 4 on the screen now. Gritty Grizz, for those of you who may not be enlightened, is the same player as Captain Pappy. Now has undergone a name change just to go through this. So I have some experience with Happy, often going for the anchor play, and can be very solid in locking down a lot of those longer range sight lines. Fishy, I know as a flex, I think this guy plays anything under the sun. Listed on his profile page right now is a squeezer, but we'll see whether or not that ends up coming out. Rounded out here with Noah and Jex. Jex only has Roller listed, and I'm not too terribly familiar, so we'll see what kind of play style we might end up getting from this time. Meanwhile, non-existence highlighted on this side by Prosper. Very strong anchor player. I think we're going to see the battle of the anchors here in this one, Pat.
Yeah, 2 different playstyles of anchor, as we can see here from the weapons displayed. Captain Happy, aka Gritty Grizz, very much playing with the chargers. Prosper, more switching up the games between the splatlings, shooters, and the bows. Usually the charger is the backline that bullies the other backline, but I mean, you can rely on Prosper to know how to navigate that.
Certainly, and any time I've watched Prosper's play, it has been phenomenal. I think Prosper is able to set up his team in a very critical way that only Splatlings can really do, and that is the kind of favor that you go for here when you're playing. So we'll see what happens here. It's the first match of the Splat World Series Gauntlet here in the West. Non-existence versus 37, and we are starting on Splat Zones, of course, Crab Leg Capital.
Yep. Yeah, Crab Leg Capital is such an incredible map for backlines, for Benthor especially, that can paint so much, that has the range to apply so much pressure. We'll see these backlines try to position themselves on top mids so that they can really take control of the pace of the game. But right now, our 2 teams, of course, trying to deny any presence. It looks like non-existence is able to at least take early control, but the roller is still around. No, the roller is pushed out. That's full control of mid for non-existence.
Yeah, well done there for non-existence. You know, we were hyping up Prosper's Splat League here, and elects to go for the Snipe Rider altogether. And I think the main reason for that is in this pickup right now. You know, sliding in a pencil slot is a lot easier than trying to say, all right, who's playing NZAP, who's got a different cooler. Let's just slot in a pencil. We know Prosper can play it. we'll put the fries in the bag, so they say, and move on with our lives. Now, of course, though, 37 has an opportunity here. We see Happy moved up very aggressively on this right side, and the laser duels are coming out here out of the two pencils. We'll see who gets the best of who, but Fishy now starting to infiltrate on that side. Meanwhile, J-Rod trying to go for a flanking angle and pulling some pressure away from the key areas. Meanwhile, though, 37 still is maintaining a lot of control in front of this zone. It's going to take the special engagement here to finally push them away, and it will be the cap for non-existence despite going 2 down.
They went 2 down, they didn't get map control. They bought themselves some time, but now they're able to finally win the fight, get some ground for themselves. Fish is still around, he's going to be sent back to spawn. This time it looks like non-existents are finally able to set a foot in mid. They still have to fight for it though, because all of 37 has now respawned and is ready to fight them once more.
Going through here was Coma is going to get taken down in the zip cast in a 1-for-1 trade. Meanwhile, zone trades continue here, and still haven't talked much about Jax, but this roller threatening as ever. The big bubbler is out, and it causes just enough extra wiggle room for the wipeout to come through out of 37, and you watch them take these very aggressive positions here early, waiting to see where a bubbler might go, but no, Jex gets taken down here early. Fishy's gonna have another one, but is gonna get striked out of the zone in the process. Gets a great one onto the zip casting Coma. Splashdown comes through, and that's 2 that go down in the process here, so non-existence takes back control.
Huge splashdown to completely flip the fate of the game. Non-existence was very much relying on the strikes to paint around, but now they have control, and it's on 37 to push forward. It's on 37 to gain ground, and for a roller, pushing when it's your opponent that has all the paint is much harder. We see here the curling and the bubbler really help that roller go in, get the extra splat. It's 37 retaking control once again. They don't have the lead, but Cable, look at that. Their penalty is pretty low right now, and they have a lot of blue around.
They've been able to hold it for some time. I'm curious to know where the next specials are going to go. A double bubble composition really wants to try to get set up here, but they don't have anything in the way of bubbles. Jax is closest at about 25% at the moment, still has a long way to go. Doesn't matter though. They're going to be able to find the lead regardless, and here comes the special engagement of non-existence. They're trying to find anything they can, but they're limited at an arm's length away from the zone. They can't quite reach it as 37 swarms, and they take game 1.
Yeah, 37 very much keeping their control on the zone. Non-existence, very explosive, sometimes able to really push their opponent away. But 37 simply moving back in forward, always incredibly solid in their ability to push forward, K-Bot.
Really solid fundamental play, and I think that's one of the things that you're really going to need out of this team to make it work. We're playing both roller and blaster, right? You would expect probably chiefly to have the tip of the spear be just one of those 2 weapons, but instead, in a team composition that has 2, having a lot of turf control and a lot of ink presence is going to be very important and impactful, in knowing when to pick your fights is going to be critical here as well. As I was calling out there at the end of the game, I was expecting to see the bubbles play a lot greater of a deal on the holds that team had, but they didn't end up needing them because they were positioned in such a way that they were able to navigate what was going on. So we'll see where that leaves us. I think non-existence probably doesn't want to go to any stages where there are easy lockouts. They probably want to try to find ways in order to get back in and find some of those engagements where some of their strategies can work with their weaker specials. Reminder, folks, we are in a strike select system, meaning that both teams strike stages at the beginning, and then the winning team strikes 2 stages away from those that have yet to be played. Non-existence now with the pick after 37 strikes of Surgeon and Waku. We are heading to Mahi Resort. I think I like the pit pack. What say you?
It's always a good pick, but it's always a good pick for every team. Every weapon is going to have a good time on Mahi Resort, which is great. It's very fun, and I think it's the best map mode to decide what team, what player is the best, regardless of weapon or strategy, because you can play this map mode in so many different ways. You can bring so many play styles to the table. The second that water drop, you had these big team fights in mid. The fact that the middle of the map is so flat, so open, it allows the whole teams to move as one around. And of course, you have so many ledges, so many flank routes to use to your advantage. Mahi has a little bit of everything for everybody. If you think you lost because of the map, because you went overall you have the better team, you need to go to Mahi, because Mahi is the map where you will be able to really display your game and your play style.
For those who are in the know in Blue Sky, Falco Flyer, another commentator, friend of mine personally, has been running a little game, having community members pick the best stages all the way down to the worst in each mode combination. And his little grid started with Splat Zones being voted the best stage, or Mahi Resort rather, being voted the best stage on Splat Zones. You can see why the pick is favored, as many folks are going to come in and like this, as you mentioned, Pat. And with teams that are playing rather similar play styles across the board, we'll see how things fare out. But for now, looks like it's going to be 37 second, I suppose, getting a larger cap here. But Jex already storming forward and is able to come up with one, buying some extra time, especially in this bubble now that 37 has set up.
Yeah, and it looks like 37 keeps their control. They're going to drop that water. And now that the map opens, there's a lot more special to farm, a lot more flank routes to have. And it's 2 versus 2. Whichever player is able to really win the next fight will have a big advantage for the team. It looks like non-existent. Thanks to the stepper, we're able to take control of mid. They won't be able to get more from that dip, but it's on 37 to push forward, K-Bot.
Is on them here, but you have to imagine that they'll find a way back in somehow. Jex in position here, but good defensive play. Way to back away for non-existence here, not letting the roller catch them off guard. They take down Fishy as well. The blaster threat is eliminated, and this will almost assuredly be the lead swap here, as Prosper's in a solid position for the team. The longer range threat getting a large control of such a close quarters stage is so critical. Meanwhile, Jex is going to find 2 on the far side. Koma's trying to collapse onto this while 37 is pushing in, but is taken down in the process, and Noah's going to throw these strikes out to secure the zone. 3-down situation for non-existence as the cap comes through. 37 is still alive in game.
And strikes, they're not on the top of the tier list, but they still work so well. You simply throw them forward, and good things happen for you and your team. Right now, non-existent trying to get back to mid, but they're losing their fight. And that's a bad jump.
Whoa!
That's bad.
Koma able to take care of business there on that jump in. Meanwhile, not going to net much of anything for the team in the process, as 37 is starting to tick down here, getting close to lead control, and a big bubbler is in position for Jex. There's the lead. Where's the specials that are coming out of them? It looks like an approach on this far left side as the rest of 37 is sweeping around, taking down the members one by one. The triple splashdown from Chivas comes in, but it's not enough. Too little, too late. And 37 is up quickly 2-0.
Yeah, we saw both teams really have long controls over the zone, really be strong around the zone, but 37 got control of the zone early, got it back, did not let it go. Very good display by them able to beat their opponent on their counterpick. Again, Mahi, it can be good to counterpick it, but it's good for your opponent as well.
Certainly. And I think, again, in a similar way to the last one, right?
Yeah.
There's double aggro, I guess. I mean, that sounds kind of silly to say, but the reality is, right, you don't expect to see the third in Blaster Slosher is typically not roller, right? I think we could all generally agree on that. But even still, this team has found a decent amount of ink control where they've needed it most, and they've been able to find ways to infiltrate unconventional, right? You don't normally expect a team like 37 to take a fight on Mahi by wrapping around the zone in front of that drop on the opponent's side and then attacking the opponent from behind, basically, while they're flowing out to the right side, right? But that's exactly the kind of unconventional play that this team would rather go for, especially because the roller doesn't care. In fact, the roller would rather not approach you dead on in the face, right? It wants to hit you from the side. It wants to come in and use that element of surprise. That's what this team has been really good at doing so far. Mahi gave them enough opportunities to do that. So maybe now the adjustment is, let's try to find a stage that we can play that more front to back style, right? We're not going to have to worry about off angles perpendicular to where we're trying to come into the zone from. Let's try to play something where we can keep the team as much as possible in front of it.
It's best of Bravo, so I don't think we're going to
3.
pick anything.
Okay, well, never mind. You lost your chance at a counter pick. Well,
yeah.
All good.
Hey, it's not over for non-existence. We still have a lower bracket where they will be trying to redeem themselves, but that's a good start for 37, who get the upper hand 2-0 against them. They'll get to meet their opponent. Hasn't been decided yet, but it's between FT Win and Pizza Party. I don't know who Pizza Party is, but I mean, there's a team that we expect to make it through upper bracket game on.
Who would win? One of the most storied teams in Splatoon, or something that a bunch of middle schoolers beg their teachers for? We'll see, I guess, what ends up coming through. But while we wait on that and for the rest of the matches to finish in round 2, we will head on over to a real brief break. Don't go anywhere, folks. More Splat World Series qualifier action on the other side.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear, driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear, like an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun, running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running low. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running low. Keep running on. Whispers in my mind, I slowly drifting by. All the poems I wrote for you, they made me blind, they made me lie. Heard you in the rain, will you always be there? Last thing you try to run, try to hide. I needed to survive. When the night was closing in, I was alone and so afraid. Couldn't see the light. No. Then my world began to spin. Where's the beginning and where's my omega? Had to make it right. Oh yeah. There's a moment when you know that every teardrop has to go. They be piling up inside. Dropping. Inside this glow. Could this moment be meant to be? Lose the shadows and you'll see. Lose the shadows and be free. Black sunrise. Ain't gonna let it go. Let it go.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Splat World Series 2026 first Western qualifier. We are about to get into best of fives finally for my sake.
Nope.
I suppose we're
Nope.
about to, but we're going back to round two to catch a second round two. This is Hypernova versus Whirlwind. Starting off with Whirlwind here, we have 49er, most notable for playing this Octobrush, most of the variants listed here on the screen here. Luis will typically come out and play the Bucket, which will likely leave Bubbles and CJ, traditionally backline players, to be more flexible in figuring out who exactly is going to go where.
I mean, one is more backline than the other. I feel like heavy edit Splatling, you call it a backline, but it's mostly a support. It's mostly there to paint. The range will be probably provided by CJ right there with the chargers.
I would generally concur. I think heavy edit for a long time has been more than serviceable in the 3 spot, including the other variant of the heavy edit, but I'll save that soapbox for another day. Meanwhile, of course, on the other side, we do have Hypernova. I will take no credit or blame for anything this team does today. I have not sat down to talk with them in quite some time, really since they've kind of settled on this 4. It was probably well before the last time that I've talked to them. So I will be just as surprised at what they have to pull out as you all are, although I may be able to make some decent predictions. Storm, typically known for Tedetech player. Synapse will probably be on the 52. Henlo, pick your version of a Splatana. And Mirage is the one perhaps that's been rotating around the most, where typically you would slot in the pencil, but depending on whether or not they want to have Storm go over to Zap, they have some other options there. So I will be curious to see how well this team is looking, of course, after their disappointing performance in themselves during the North American League. I'm sure they're looking for a revenge tour here in SWS as we get underway with our strike select system.
Yeah, and right now, Flounder Heights already banned by Hypernova and Manta Maria. These are the stages you want to ban early. These are the stages that play so differently from the rest of the game. You don't want to see them. And on the other side, different strategy. Oh, you're banning the ledges, we're banning Eeltail Alley.
Yes, traditionally, probably a wise choice from Whirlwind. I think anytime you click on a team and you see that they have potential to play an E-Leader, just get the E-Leader stage out of the way early. The random pick in Game 1 is Ship Shape Cargo Company here, which, I don't know. This stage feels like it's largely neutral. It's probably like easier to lock out on. There's some decent high ground spots, but you really do have to be pretty aggressive if you want to get a full lockout going. And so there is some potential to try to get back in, despite the fact that the zone feels rather far from spawn.
Yeah, I mean, there's this wide open space between your spawn side, where you have good good positions, and then the middle of the map where you want to be. If one team is able to wipe the other team, push them out of here, there will be really an open ground to really see their opponent coming. They'll be able to see where their opponent comes from, and they'll be able to really adapt to that. I mean, once again, a good backline on this map can do a lot of work depending on where they're able to position themselves.
Certainly the case, and again, I'll be curious to know where those threats are going to be, even when we're talking about most likely Bubbles will be playing edit for this Whirlwind roster. The fact that we have 3 people who we would traditionally classify as playing backline means that they may have some interesting takes and opinions on what makes good positioning here on this stage in particular, right? And the trade-off choice of, do you risk your life a little further by moving up and getting into a better position, or do you try to stay back, have that high ground control on either side? Those will be some of the critical aspects that we'll see, and who chooses, because there could be a chance here that for a team like Whirlwind, they may take turns deciding who gets to go where, and sometimes I might like to see that with some of the longer range threats with the 3 and 4 pieces of the team composition. So we'll see what ends up coming through here, and again, there's the question of, does Hypernova play E-Leader? They have that at their disposal that they can pull out, and it will drastically change the way that this game would go.
Yeah, I mean, that's the dynamic. And right there, remember, Hypernova seed number 4 of this qualifier. We expect them to do very well. As you said, despite their counter performances, they're still high-level players, able to do so much, able to get so much done. Whirlwind, who struggled in round number 1 to win their best of 3 to be here, they have their work cut out for them. They know they need to punch up, they need to lock in and make it work right there. As we're going to get into ship shape, I believe we're close to being ready. Which means we should be seeing the game very soon.
Any second now, we'll be getting into it. Of course, the players waiting all 90 seconds this go around to get into it, despite the last series that did not do no such thing. So here we are, loading into ship shape for game 1 in a best of 3. K-Bot, it's a best of 3. Remind yourself, it's best of 3. There's only two games needed to win. All right, we're loading in here. Looks like we're not going for the E-Leader composition, but instead of an edit, Bubbles is on the Zinc Mini Splatling. I really like this pick.
I mean, Bubbler still so good, especially on this map. There are choke points, and Zinc Mini is so good on these choke points right now. Storm activating the Crab Tank. So still powerful, still so important in this meta. Right now, I mean, both teams trying to establish themselves to get some control. Not sure who will be able to go in, but the thing is going to be splatted, though. The Bubbler will not save them. And right now, both teams still trying to fight for me. Remember, whichever team is able to really win the big team fight, push the other team away, it is the team that's going to decide the pace of that game.
Storm doing a really great job of controlling the high ground, not only on Hypernova's side, but now on Whirlwind's side as well. This Splash-O-Matic has quite a large presence, right? It can have that fighting potential up close. Of course, it's got the Crab Tank to support things from afar as well, and having the ability to control that is what has kept Hypernova in a strong position, even despite losing some of their aggro's early. Henlo moving forward on the blaster, doesn't get the chance to use the triple splashdown, and now the strikes are coming out to secure the high ground. Storm taken down by a suction bomb, and that's going to enable Whirlwind to start coming up, but Synapse has found a way to infiltrate the opposing bubble, will be able to get it on 2 bubbles, and then a 3-down situation will maintain control for Hypernova, who's about to knock out here, assuming there are no other punches punches yet to be thrown from Whirlwind. 49er is making a rush for the zone, but once again, they're not able to get there in time, and Hypernova seals game 1.
Getting out of your throne is so hard on this map. Dramatic with the grab tank fainting everywhere, maintaining so much presence. It was very much Whirlwind struggling to really get a foothold, to get presence on this map. They always had something to dodge, and they always had to try to save themselves.
Yeah, this gamble play we just saw in the replay, I don't know where Synapse was hiding, and obviously Whirlwind didn't know either, right? That's one of the things that we know a 52 gal can do. It's gonna shark, it's gonna pop out, and it's gonna get you at the worst possible time when you've got two people inside of your own big bubbler. It's not even an opposing big bubbler, it's your own, and you're trying to set up shop there on the high ground. Synapse does a great job to get those two down and completely nullify the push that Whirlwind had going for them. That doesn't happen. Game doesn't go over. But again, Whirlwind was forced to try to have some response for the high ground because of just how dominated it was by Storm, largely with the Splash-O-Matic and the Craft. So we'll see what ends up coming through for the game 2. Remember, best of 3. I'm remembering this time. So
I believe in you.
Hypernova's got only one more to go. They will strike away both Lemuria and Marlin, the newest stages to be added, and Whirlwind will get their pick of what remains. We're heading to Umami Ruins here, which I suppose in some senses makes sense given that there are fewer angles and ledges where a blaster would really love to be, but there's still going to be this dynamic where the spawn is a little farther away from the zone, which is very easy for an opposing team to control. They
can't let Storm get comfortable on top mid. They have to stop the crab tanks from coming. If Hypernova plays the same game, they're still in a very good spot. Whirlwind right here need to play the aggro, need to make the brush work, and we see the brush with the Zipcaster. And Bubble switching to the Vanilla Mini. That will be hammers to the face. Hammer can always flip the game.
I do like a little more aggression out of the special, right? Giving a little more of a forward-facing presence might help them break out of a lockout situation that much easier. They will get the first splat in this game, and now we're going to start to move in off of that. Starting to bully away Mirage. The Ultra Stamp gets thrown. Mirage doesn't have much line of sight of anything, and now 49er is going to be able to move forward to pick one off on to Henlo, but even still, Whirlwind's going to play a little more patient, trying to just take away the timer and slowly bleed. But they look like they're playing a little more scared. It's going to give Hypernova more time to build up specials and try to go for a play. Although, as I say that, Mirage was taken down. Henlo next to follow, and it's all a stagger here for Whirlwind early.
Yeah, that will allow Hypernova to take control of top mid with the sign-up right here. And with the 52 gal always in the fight. Beautiful movement right there. As long as you're in motion with that weapon, you are winning the fight, and Synapse is showing us that to us.
So Hypernova takes back control of both zones and is now starting to get set up here. Storm on the top mid, just like you called out a moment ago, Pat. And it's already trying to apply that pressure at a long range. No one's really there to follow up for Hypernova. They're all worried about the threats swarming down right beneath their feet, but they look like they're able to take care of it, as Luis was behind them. Henlo's going to get taken down once more, but even still, it's Hypernova with stronger positioning at the moment. 49er slips forward. Okay, wait a minute. Turns things around with a double. We'll see how much Whirlwind can capitalize.
That's at least penalty applied by Whirlwind, who are able to set themselves back into the middle of the map, not yet able to fully push their opponents out. 49ers constantly on the attack, constantly applying pressure, not letting Hypernova breathe. That's going to allow everybody else from Whirlwind to go back in, but Synapse is still in mid, ready to take a fight.
Still looking for it again. We'll find one. Pops the whale, looking for more, but is unable to. Meanwhile, two members on the left side, Henlo and Storm, team up to take down the Brush and 49er. And now Henlo might be looking for more, but is going to get zoned away by Bubbles. The Ultra Stamp comes out once again, applying the pressure directly to Mirage, trying to make the Snipe Rider squirm on the opposite side, but Storm goes into the flow aura. This is going to be, I think that's a delayed quad right there for Storm as the zones continue to hold for Hypernova.
And it's not just a crab tank, the main weapon is pretty good too, but here comes another crab tank battling to slow down the push from Whirlwind. The strikes don't matter if you lose all your front lines. That's rough right now. No more penalty for Hypernova. They're going to extend their lead, K-Bot. Ooh.
Nova does look to extend, but specials are online now for Whirlwind. They take back control of the zones and are looking for some more. But again, the question becomes, can they get set up to a point where they can hold it for long enough to not take the lead? And yes, that is a question, despite how close the score is at the current moment. 49er gets another play onto Synapse here. Once again, caught out alone. And it's all about now Whirlwind controlling. They've got these triple ink strikes as well. Here's the crab tank from Storm, but it's too late before the lead exchanges hands. Henlo gets taken down. The strikes are going to put Synapse in an awkward position here too, and somebody has to decide to make a play for Hypernova to come back into this game. Meanwhile, it's 49er again into the Zipcast, looking for Storm, now going across top mid to take down Synapse yet again. 2 down now for Hypernova as Whirlwind continues to hold. It's all for them in purple right now in front of the zone.
This is big. Just a few more ticks on that zone. Hypernova needs to paint, but they're out of time. Whirlwind able to get back, and I mean that constant attack, as long as they were confident and going in over and over, things were going their way.
Most when teams are confident in their own playstyle. Whirlwind was less so in the beginning stages of this game, but the more fights that 49er was able to get in and the more confidence that was built with each individual fight and each individual pick towards Synapse, towards players like Henlo, the better off this Whirlwind team was. They were able to punish Hypernova, getting a little too risky here or there. That's right, I'm going to blame Hypernova again for this one because that's just who I'm supposed to be as their coach. I'm still conditioned in that way. You'll forgive me for the thoughts. While they may have had some really strong plays, they never had the kind of control I was looking for, where they were attacking things precisely at the same time. You would see both players run off in opposite directions, making easy targets in a 1v1 fight in close quarters for 49er in an Octo Brush. And that is the kind of play that this team is going to feed on. As long as Whirlwind can keep punishing those as we enter game 3, they may have a significant more advantage. But of course, Hypernova's turn now to pick the stage. They're the ones in control of where we go after the strikes.
Yeah, as you said, we just saw 49er absolutely creating chaos all across the map. And Hypernova were not ready for that chaos. They were not able to adapt to it. And now they need to. They know the drill. They know what to do. Their coach is watching them, all the pressure. And the big question is, how do you stop an Octobrush that's popping off chaos? How do you deny any chaos that this Whirlwind team wants to bring to the table right now? The bans have been set by Whirlwind. We won't be seeing Wahoo World on Grindwater Spring, and I believe the map has been chosen. We are going to Barnacle and Dime.
You know, I was looking at the stage pool, and you posed the question to me, but didn't let me answer before they picked. I think it's a stage that ends up needing to forcing the opposing team to play, once again, this thing that I call front to back, right? If you can keep your opponents in front of you at all times, you're going to be better off. Barnacle and Dime, less opportunities for an Octobrush to just run around doing whatever it wants, right? There's a little, yes, there are elements of this stage that are open, but you can't really get from one open section to another very easily, right? Everything is very segmented in that way, and the brush is going to be limited in terms of the ways in which it can maneuver around the stage geometry. And so with that in mind, if Hypernova can try to limit that presence and find ways to link up together in some of the ways that they were doing in the first game, they'll be better off here in game 3.
As long as Hypernova has someone to watch the alleyways, 49ers will not be able to really sneak through mid, and that's going to change completely how the game is played compared to the last game that we saw on Umami right there. As you said, this is the map to control things, and control has been the name of the game for Hypernova. This is the kind of flat ground that will allow Synapse to do the damage, that will allow Storm to crab tank everybody on the map at the same time. Now the big question is, can Whirlwind repeat what they just did? Can they keep the chaos going on a map that is not designed for it?
We will have to see, and I think it's going to depend a lot on how Hypernova chooses to attack. We also have to think about going up that left side, chooses to back on away, and now we wait for Storm's crab tank to start doing the most damage. There's 2 down now, 3 down it looks like at this point after a trade against Whirlwind. It's Hypernova here very early on.
Yeah, I mean, in that opening, Whirlwind stayed on their platform. They stayed as a group and waited for the crab tank to just pummel them all in the same spot. They can't do that. They know they need to flank. They know they need to create these opportunities. I can see a Zipcaster to the side. This is the time for Whirlwind to go in to get flat, and that's exactly what they're doing, K-Bot. It's their turn to be in the driver's seat now.
Can you isolate the individual members of Hypernova? Because when you do, it looks like they are going to come out on top. Whirlwind's been doing it, was doing it in game 2, just did it there, is looking for even more, and now it's that continued presence from the crab tank. Henlo teams up with Storm to nearly wipe out Whirlwind, and it's Hypernova exploding right back into the act.
Every time Storm activates crab tank, especially on this map, it changes the pace of the game. Whirlwind is forced out, and right now Hypernova trying to hold their ground. The bubbles with the hammer, able to get one splat, losing to get more, not able to really secure the platform for the team. Now Henlo going in with the splashdown, moving around and getting the punishes right now. 2 versus 2. Henlo, last squid standing for Hypernova, is still going to maintain presence, will not let Hypernova get full control of the map, but it's still 2 more points for Whirlwind.
You know, I was talking as we entered about how this stage is in multiple different sections that are smaller. Well, what's a blaster really good at controlling? Controlling those smaller spaces, right? Henlo turns 90 degrees and can fire down the entirety of the zone or fire down a specific corridor. That's what he was doing really well on, and that's where a blaster is going to thrive on this particular stage. Meanwhile, though, it's still Whirlwind in control. Hypernova needs to find a way back in, and they're slowly beginning to do just that. 49er jumps back in. Synapse is going to be able to take that out. Meanwhile, Hypernova is attempting to take some of this high ground on the left side. Will they be able to hold on to it for long enough for Storm to secure a crab tank? It looks likely with the crab tank in position here. Have to be careful of 49er, though, who's creeping up, is going to be able to take down Synapse, but not the crab tank of Storm. Even the threat of the brush is what takes down the offensive presence for Hypernova, and suddenly it's a cap away from another penalty, and Whirlwind feeling much more comfortable in this game.
Yeah, the burst bomb by Bubbles right there, able to seal the deal, make sure that the zone is secure for Whirlwind. They have the lead, they have the presence. We're back to a neutral for the zone right there. That big team fight is going to decide a lot, but here comes the crab tank. That crab has been too efficient, but it looks like Whirlwind was ready for it, was to the side, and now Hypernova has control, has the zone, but they still have yet to win that team fight.
to do it here once again. Storm is getting into position, and Hypernova is attempting to go for the solid strategy of control the opposing stack. But there aren't any tools that Hypernova has right now to really make sure that they get it for so long. That enables an easy entry from Whirlwind and an easy cap from Whirlwind whenever they want it. Again, Whirlwind not very preoccupied with trying to take this down and go for longer holds. If they can keep just touching the zone and getting it painted in their color, they're going to be successful with only 50 seconds remaining in this game. Meanwhile, Synapse trying to control this ground again. Storm is over here, but Mirage is taken down. Henlo is taken down to the back lines, and 49er goes in the zip cast to find the final two. The pedal is going to the metal right now for Whirlwind, and Hypernova cannot weather the storm.
30 seconds left. Whirlwind still in the lead. Hypernova is still in the fight, though, and with another crab tank, they're going to retake full control of mid. I mean, right now, K-Bot, Whirlwind needs one push, needs to go in, and they just lost their mini bubbles. Getting splatted right there will cost the rest of the team. They need to go in. They are too late. The lead is lost. The strikes are not enough to paint. We're going the distance. No KO, but it's still Hypernova on top by a hair.
Finally, when Hypernova is able to control the high ground and infiltrate the opposing court without being scared, they're able to secure the game. It took a long while for them to get there, but they finally did there at the very end, and that's what set this up. Luis has to drop down to the left side, especially without bubbles in position, and just go for any kind of play towards the zone with the triple splashdown. But of course, once again, as many of these games go, it is still too little, too late. Props to Hypernova for keeping it up, but realistically, if you're Hypernova, I'm gonna say it, that series should not have gone on as long as it did, okay? I think Hypernova believes that they're better than that. Most of the people watching that series probably believes Hypernova is better than that. We'll see whether or not I keep saying that as a trend, especially because I think we're gonna watch their next best of 5 as well. So we'll see what ends up happening with where they go. But as we take a look at the rest of the bracket at the moment, we do have a couple of other upsets that have come in, or at least there's a notable one here. 5 seed Swarm has been taken down by 12 seed Thriller Bark. Now, Pat, I don't know if you're familiar with either of these two rosters per se. There's not a ton of folks that I recognize, particularly on Thriller Bark. Swarm does have Helix, formerly from DNA, and Bounce. I recognize those players, but needless to say, in a small bracket, while everyone is still getting warmed up here, anything can happen.
Yeah, anything for sure. And one thing we have to take out from that set, K-Bot, is at some point, stop second-guessing yourself. Start doing what you know you can do and take control of the space, take control of the base. And yeah, as you said, we're going to go straight into round 3, the quarterfinals. And yes, this time it is best of 5. It's going to be Hypernova again versus Thriller Bark. Going with a pretty classic set of weapons. I mean, we could see a Cloud Blaster apparently from Noctis, but other than that, very much the weapons we expect to see at that level.
Yeah, certainly. We'll see what ends up happening. Okay, now that I see it's not just a random name in Japanese text, and it is in fact Noctis, maybe this makes it out more sense, but even still, right, the remnants of Black Lotus have not performed very well in recent tournaments, and so it's no real surprise to see them lower on the board overall, but also no real surprise to see that they have potential for upsets here, especially if they can pull out something that looks a little unnatural in general. So yeah,
it's these players with years and years of experience of the highest level. Even if they haven't performed that well recently, you cannot count them out. They can get an upset and qualify for the quarterfinals right there. Never underestimate the player that you forgot existed. No, Noctis is gonna come back. Noctis is going to get splats and is going to be a danger for his opponents.
Yeah, certainly. And hey, what I will say, this composition that we see on the screen right now is basically the same composition everyone's been playing for the past 6, months or so, whatever, however long it's been. It's a blast. It's a slosher, and it's a pencil, and then you throw in a 52 gal for good measure. I mean, how much worse can it get? So if you're talking about, like, blaster meta, where Noctis has traditionally, and when I say traditionally, I mean pre-Splatoon 3 for the most part, but where Noctis has thrived has been in very prevalent blaster metas, and so I can see a universe where he's able to lead a team into successful positions here, certainly, and potentially even squeak out a qualifier spot. I mean, they're not too far off from it now. Would need to win this one coming up next against Hypernova, and then, as I say this out loud and look at the bracket, they would have to win the next one over FT Win. So good luck doing that. But if you do get that far, you might have a chance coming through in the losers bracket.
Yeah, every game matters at the end of the day. Winning and making it to the semis is what is going to give you a better spot in both the brackets, even if you get splatted. But even between that, like Riddlebark, they are the underdog here. They already got one upset. They want to show that it's not a mistake, but it's not a fluke, but they were underseeded, but they still have things to say. We just saw Hypernova kind of struggle against a team that they were not expecting. So they have a lot of pressure on them to keep their spots, to get the performance that they want to get.
One thing I will say, and what I notice time and again, is Hypernova does feel like they're one of those teams that plays to the level of their opponent. Like, if they play against a team that is theoretically significantly under-leveled than them, they'll play to that level. And when they play against, like, a Moonlight or an FT Win, they'll play to that level too, right? There's, like, the variance in terms of how close they can get games to be is quite wide, So I would be a little worried if I was them, based off of what I saw. If I was sitting in their team call right now, I'd probably be ripping into them a little bit, because the last one was a little unacceptable on many fronts. So I would not be surprised to see similar things come through here for this team. But again, we will have to wait and see, as the striking system is now underway. Humpback and Lemuria have been taken away by Hypernova.
Yeah, not letting the ledges come. You always have these weapons that can play differently. Lemuria Hub and Humpback Bump Track. There's maps that you can expect to see stricken by one of the two teams, because one team is going to not want to see these maps, because they play weird, they favor some weapons much more than others, so you want to get that out of the way and not let your opponent exploit that.
Yeah. So we'll see here where Thrillbark... I mean, all right, let's Thrillbark just get out the E-Leader ones, and let's just move on, so you don't have to, like, randomly pick into leader. I suspect that both of these teams would be okay going over to Urchin. They would find some solution, or probably have some solution, so I wouldn't expect to see an Urchin strike from Thrillbark. But some of the other things where the longer range presence is there, let's just get it out.
But we're at that level of play where the weapons and the map, they do so much. It's the players that decide the game. They can adapt to all the stages that you could have. They can adapt to whatever comp they would play. I mean, I'm certainly not able to do anything against them. Like, I'm a low-level player. They could beat me with an undercover Umbrella comp. And their eyes closed, probably. At some point, the weapons, the maps, they do so much, but we're going to go to Hagglefish Market. But these players could play with their eyes closed, and we'll see what they'll be able to do.
Yeah, hard to be upset at Hagglefish Market if this is your game one random pick. I think the overarching thing in the way that I view it, Pat, is your team composition and the stage you play on that team composition, in addition to the team composition you're playing against and how those two play against each other, dictate how easy or challenging it will be to win the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
A better composition makes it easier to win the game, but it does not win the game for you on the spot, right?
Yeah.
And so similar ways, right? There are a plethora of really strong strategies on certain stages or what have you, right? And some of those stages do force you to adapt and change how you have to think about it, because otherwise you are just choosing to make the game more challenging to play for you, right? If you choose to play E-Leader on Urchin, you are just making it harder to win for fun, right? That you don't need to do that to yourself. But no team typically does, but I digress. That's a lecture for another day as we load in to our winners quarters match. Winner from this one moves on to an SWS qualification matchup versus FT Win. So as we get underway, pretty similar in terms of compositions. Noctis playing the Luna Blaster here, I think is an interesting variation, but even still, the composition across the board will play very similar.
Yeah, especially it's the Order Luna that has Vidcaster. Usually that's not the Luna you see, but I guess Noctis wants to be extra aggressive, wants to get into every fight right now. Hypernova is forced to try to get back to the zone as Willowbark simply moving in, getting a lot of paint and forcing Hypernova to fight their way back in.
Hello going to work his way up one side, take down one. Synapse takes down the other on the opposite. And so an early push will be stopped from Hypernova as they're going to start building things up here. Where Storm elects to use this crab tank could be important, as Noctis is actually going to burn this Zipcast. It feels like really early. All things considered, is trying to push away both Mirage and Storm as far as possible. It does separate Synapse and Henlo from the rest of the team, and so Synapse gets taken down, and the push is going to start to come in. Storm popping this crab tank almost in what feels like a dissuading effort that was not quite successful, and Hypernova gives up a lot of ground there, despite not going many members down, and despite taking it.
Henlo still fighting, but getting punished. It's going to be Willowbark being able to really get control of all of it. And now all of Hypernova are coming from Storm. Now they need a big push. They activate their specials, but Noctis with the Zipcaster is able to deny all of the crab's duration right there. That's a complete denial of the push K-bot. It looks like Willowbark are getting their upsets.
Yeah, this one's dangerous territory right now, and I think it's basically the game. That's it from Thriller Bark. They're able to find the lockout, and when you're playing a team composition like Hypernova is, where you have that really strong engagement special, Noctis knows better than to just let why he's going over to this Luna Blaster with the Zipcaster is just to harass the crab tank. Early on in the game, when Noctis goes for his Zipcast play, he flies to the other side of the stage just to push Storm further away. I don't even think he's really upset that he didn't end up finding the pick, but the fact that Storm is now so far out of position, it allows there to be no real threats from Thriller Bark, or to Thriller Bark in their ability to walk forward and take back control of the zone, right? They're not really being forced to do that, and it's a way of taking the initiative back into your own hands. Hypernova had the initiative, holding the zone, was starting to get set up into position, but wasn't able to quite move fast enough before that counter threat was positioned out of Noctis's Zipcaster. Suddenly, they don't have the initiative. The window of opportunity they might have had to get really big points vanishes completely, and suddenly it's just another way for their opponents to waltz back into the zone. Same thing happens later on into the game, right around that canopy where Storm is trying to use the crab on the retake. Noctis is there, harassing it again. I think those are the kinds of things that we didn't see out of Whirlwind in the last one and are seeing here. It's one of the reasons why game one is so decisive.
And K-Bot, one thing that you noted during the push that gave Thriller the control of the whole map is that Hypernova were not dying. They were simply forced to move back because Thriller had better positioning, had better movement as a team. And really, position was the name of the game right there that Thriller was playing. Hypernova was not ready for it. At the end, the crab tank is deployed on the tent. Doesn't matter. There's a Zipcaster. That crab tank does not exist. And Hypernova was really, throughout this game and throughout the previous set, was relying on Storm to control the space. If that crab tank disappears, suddenly Hypernova in a very, very rough spot, not able to push Thriller by simply knowing what position to deny, what position to take, where to push their enemies. It's like they were completely corralling their opponent in the spots that they preferred. Now, without much gestation, K-Bot, Hypernova goes onto the map where they feel like they can take control.
Yeah, so they're going to pick Barnacle and Diamond here again. Makes sense. They showed success on it on the last one, albeit it took till the very end of the game, nearly before the whistle blowed, for them to end up securing it, but they were able to nonetheless. I will say the other thing that's probably nice for Hypernova in this case is that there are less things to zipcast on, right?
Yeah.
If you're playing that game. So maybe there's a little bit of that, but I think that's a supplemental issue rather than a main reason why they're picking the stage. So I think we'll see if there's any adaptation. I would expect probably not towards the stage out of Thriller Bark. And certainly they're not going to create two targets by having Hypernova play over to E-Leader. So, same compositions come out again. We're running it back.
Yeah, and I mean, there isn't that much to Zipcast, but Noctis being able to really relocate to any position and get into this close range fight with the Luna will deal a lot of damage on here. And what an explosive opening right there. Thriller simply moved forward and Hypernova let them, K-Bot.
Yes, and now going to just have the control of the game. The pace is all in for Thriller Bark right now, as they're going to continue probably pushing the issue. And look, another two-down situation. Henlo doesn't have a lot of paint support to move forward in a way that he wants to. Has to back on away. Gets a really nice assist. And now Storm pops the crab tank. But where is Hypernova going to start approaching from? Actually on this far right side, where there's a 52 gal suddenly in position. Henlo comes down to the triple splashdown. Takes down one. And another falls on the other side of the zone. And so Hypernova has found their way back in. And now might take control, but has to act quickly to make a lockout happen.
And they're in the right position right there. They struggled and gave 75 points to Thriller Bark, that they're finally in the position they want. This is where Hypernova is the strongest. This is what they were waiting for, but they already lost two players. Thriller Bark, they simply move forward, get in the fight, and happily play this map, and they're back in control, K-Bot.
Back in control once again and going to take down through this penalty. Noctis in position again, just pushing the members of Hypernova back, just being a thorn in the side of them, and that allows control of this upper right stack, forcing a crab tank pop from Storm way farther back than he would have liked. So Hypernova has a chance of getting up to this side. In the 2v2 fight, it's actually Thriller Bark that secures the top of this here. Henlo has to move forward, but it's taken down once again, and Hypernova's potential for a push towards the zone has been completely neutralized with control of the high ground from Thriller Bark. Synapse is trying to make an approach happen, but it's not quite there, and no one is in time for the zone from Hypernova. Thriller Bark quickly 2 games up in this series.
We talked about how this is the map where Hypernova is supposed to take control, not let things get to the side. Wheelerbark did not care. They were constantly in a fight. They were constantly closing the distance, creating all the chaos, all the engagements that they wanted. And Hypernova was playing whack-a-mole, trying to keep themselves on the map, even when at some point it looked like they had full control of the map. It didn't matter. Wheelerbark simply moving forward, not caring, and getting back their positions right away, K-Bot.
It's the same idea of initiative I was talking about earlier, Pat. If you can move a little quicker, if you can capitalize on the windows that you are creating for yourself, the better off you're going to be, and you're going to be in more advantageous position when push comes to shove and somebody has to take a fight, right? That 2v2 fight towards the end of the game on the upper right stack before Henlo approaches over there is the thing that seals the game away for Hypernova. They're not able to commit resources in a way that makes sense, that helps them have an advantage, and instead, because they gave away control of that space earlier, or rather that their opponents were able to wrestle it away from them, it is Thriller Bark able to come back, take care of business, hold down that side of the zone, stall things out and just trade out for as long as they need to, and then force some of those resources to come out early, preventing Hypernova from actually getting into the zone. It's the oldest trick of the book, truly. This has been around forever, and this is exactly what you want to see out of a team that is going to end up being dominant later on. So we'll see if Thriller Bark can live up to that here, or if Hypernova's got another counterpick at the disposal that they're ready to bring to it.
And K-Bot, we know that Hypernova can be faster than that. We know that they can take control of the pace of the game. Right now, they're second-guessing themselves, they're waiting, they're thinking, and they don't know exactly how to counter all the moves, all the chaos that Thriller Bark is throwing at them. This is their final counterpick of this set. They are back to the wall with a 2-0 for Thriller Bark. Hypernova needs something big, needs to put their opponent, really push them, force them to be off balance, and allow themselves to really retake control of the base of that game.
I will say, so again, here I am trying to think about what stages I would like to go to.
Ooh.
If I was Hypernova, one of the things I could have considered would have been Mahi. A closer quarter stage means that everyone's going to be tighter together and able to work better together, being less threatened by an individual Zipcast or something of the sort. That one was smartly stricken away by Thriller Bark in this last go-round. And so now the question again, where do you end up going? You can't go to any E-Leader stages because now you're giving 2 targets for Noctis and his Zipcaster. You're probably not going to want to go to a lot of those smaller or shorter range stages or the stages with ledges because your opponent is just outclassing you there. Where do you have freedom to be creative? I don't even know the answer to that question. I think maybe in some parts maybe it could be something like the Springs, Brinewater Springs, where you're almost forcing again something more front to back. They're going to pick Undertow here. I don't know. I don't know if I agree. We'll see if this plays out. But I think I would have rather had seen something that Hypernova could have played together more rather than them being isolated. Because if they're able to come up with some of those strategies where 2 people, 3 people are all taking the same fight together, I think Hypernova will have it in them to win. Here, though, on Undertow, with 2 zones and a hump in the middle, you're basically splitting up 100% of the time as you take across this stage. So we'll see what strategy they might have heading into this one. But as you mentioned, they are at risk of falling to the lower side.
Yeah, and K-Bot, this map is good for short-range weapon, is good for ledge opportunities, has very, very good deepcaster options with these pillars that allow you to really go anywhere you want. Hypernova needs to bully Noctis. That's the job right there. Switching to the Tri-Slusher is a very, very nice move, but Hypernova needs to bully Noctis over and over and not let Qualifier do what they did until now. And I mean, right now, they're doing the job right. They're not letting Qualifier really set themselves in any way.
Again, team that's playing faster is getting rewarded so far in this series. We'll see whether or not that can continue, because I imagine Hypernova really just needs to pick up pace. It's not a matter of slowing the game down to fit what they want to do. It's a matter of trying to pick up and just beat your opponent on that front before they can adjust and before they can come up with something else. Here goes Noctis in the zip cast again, pushing Mirage rather far back and will take down the opposing Snipe Rider, meaning that this is very likely going to be a flip, but no, that's 3 down actually for Thriller Bark now. Storm's able to secure 1. Maiko gets taken down here as well, and now Storm on top again. Maybe that was another 2 or 3 from Storm, and Hypernova has control.
Hypernova able to really keep their presence in mid. That's only 1 point for Qualifier, who are struggling to really push a Hypernova out. You just see more and more fights right there. But Gal simply maintaining presence, forcing everybody to look at them, as Noctis now with the Luna taking the right positions. And this is where the danger starts, K-Bot. Qualifier has a lot of blue now. The second they start getting momentum on this map, they can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, but with Noctis getting taken down early in that, he forced to jump back in and gets taken down a second time. I think this is going to start falling apart for Thriller Bark, at least on this particular go-around. Now, that's not to say that they can't regroup here rather quickly, especially with the cluster of Hypernova all very far back. If somebody's able to get in there, maybe they deal some damage. And sure enough, Noctis finds a trade, infiltrating now with the 52 gal on the other side. 1 for 1 once more. Jump back into the tactic cooler in the middle of the stage. And this is the Thriller Bark playstyle at the moment. Synapse able to get the best of Noctis for the moment. Maybe we'll start seeing Hypernova move in, but Synapse just too far forward, a little too quick in comparison to the rest of the team, and it's 2 more back for Hypernova. The tug of war over the zones continue, but Thriller Bark wins the lead.
Yeah, they win the lead. That means it's more work for Hypernova, and a splashdown able to get the trade. Only that. Still a lot of space right there. Noctis is waiting for the opportunity. Noctis hasn't been able to really get much of a Tri-Slusher. He's doing such a great job at denying that. And right now, the overpressure is on the ground to fight each other and open up the space for Hypernova right now.
Well done here so far. It's now just 4 ticks remaining for Thriller Bark before knocking out the zone. Noctis steps forward, finds 1, but it's a 3-down situation for Hypernova here. The paint comes through, and it's Thriller Bark with the sweep to move on to the SWS qualification match up next, knocking down Hypernova rather decisively, might I add. Just able to have a very solid fundamental read of the way Hypernova was trying to approach the game, and ends up taking the fight right to them, taking that initiative away and controlling the pace of our.
And in that last moment, it was really objective awareness on the side of Brittlebog. They lost the team fight. They were behind. They were able to get back in, keep one of the zone, then keep the other zone, and then get back on top. Simply the exact right amount of baiting the zone, baiting that zone, fighting the opponent and punishing them for painting the wrong zone. And really incredible awareness on the side of Brittlebog, recognizing, hey, we can KO there. We can get that victory right here, win 3-0. Once again, beating a team that's really better than them. Really, Brittlebog, the team that we did not expect, is showing us that there's always a surprise happening in Splatoon.
The question becomes, does Thriller Bark have yet another surprise up their sleeve? As we take a look at the bracket here, their next opponent is FT Win for the qualifier match. Now, it is worth saying that FT Win is not the FT Win roster you may expect. There's a roster with Bursty, Leafy, and Snipes in, most likely, with Biscuit being subbed out today. At least that's what Sendo.Inc says so far. So this, yes, is FT Win because, yes, Kyo is playing. Yes, Bursty has plenty of experience, but we're talking about two other players that aren't necessarily on the same level of a winning roster that could potentially not be quite ready for a very confident playstyle in that kind of way that Thriller Bark has been playing, with being able to beat both Swarm and Hypernova.
Yeah, on the other side of the bracket, in the other semifinals, there was no upset. It's team number 2 versus team number 3. Rip Pig 9, made of Zenith, Yoshio, William, and Phoenix. Names we expect to see here. Okay, but next names that we know, that we can tell, okay, that's the kind of strong team that we know kind of like are expecting to punch their ticket.
Yes, this is the Azure equivalent. This is the Crush Soda Orbit equivalent, right? This is that team. To be clear, William Jr. is Dat Kid. Expect to see a Brush come out, or Dat Menace, as you may know. And then the rest of this, right, is probably going to be relatively standard across the board. So this is certainly one of those favorite teams that you would expect to see come through, expect to qualify and represent the West in the SWS series. Meanwhile, on the other side is Pathway here, recognizing a few of their players and kind of another hodgepodge, but this is a team that's felt slightly just out of reach of that top level orbit. And it's probably a matter of finding the right combination of players that is going to come together for this one. But players that many folks will be familiar with, notably Miner and Spec. Zekrom has been around for a while as well here. So, the overall picture, we're expecting to see pretty standard teams. This is going to be another pickup versus pickup match, right? I mean, it's pickup city here today. There's no real difference in what we're watching, but nonetheless, right? We expect to see some pretty standard compositions, standard play from what we've come to expect.
Hey, they're the players that we expect to see here. They very much have showed over and over how consistent they can be to reach that top of the bracket. And now the big question, the question that we've been asking every time we've seen them is, can they get to the next step? Can they beat a team of the caliber that we have, like Rip Pig 9? And we know that they can. We know that they're the kinds of players who have put the work in. Now the big question is, can they find the confidence, the speed, and find the magic that these players in the next level seem to have compared to them? And Pathway, I mean, these names are the names that we know, that they always can surprise us. The big question is, all the pressure is now. Now is the time to do it, and they are facing one of the two monsters of this qualifier.
Now, it is worth noting, of course, right? There are multiple qualifier spots on the line in each event, and there's also 2 qualifiers. So, this is your first chance.
Oh, yeah.
But likely, for a team of this caliber, it will not be their last chance either, right, at qualifying for the primary event of the Splat World Series. So, if you're able to think about it in a decent enough way, you can maybe even think about taking some of that pressure off of yourselves, right? This is chance number 1. We're going to have multiple ones. It's just another match. Let's load in. Let's get the job done, right? There's nothing crazy about this one, despite the fact that it is a qualifier match, and we'll have one of our next teams on the Western side to represent us in the Splat World Series main event, which, may I remind everybody, is coming up in 3 weeks. That will be on the 7th and 8th over here in the States, 8th and 9th over there in Europe, and about the same time as the Global Gauntlet has been for those of you that have tuned in for that. So you can look forward to the main event, and that's what all these teams are qualifying for, is another chance to do that and hopefully get the West to go more than winning 1 game. Hopefully.
We know we can do it. We've shown that we can do it. And right there, these 2 teams, what do you say that it's the first chance they can let this one go and get qualified in the next game? There's a statement to be made, and Pathway is the kind of team that needs to show what they can do to make that statement against a team like Rip Big 9. I mean, you're not gonna go far in the gauntlet if you're not able to really bring the fight to Zenith, Yoshel, that kid, and Phoenix.
Certainly. You would expect, again, this team to be able to come together quite well, and it's not going to be very crazy to assume that this team would go far and be, for that matter, one of the better representatives in the Western side. I expect top half by and large, right?
Yeah.
So we shall see whether or not Pathway has what it takes this time around, though, of course, as I mentioned, there will be plenty more opportunities later we might expect. Crab Lake Capital is the first stage here. You saw one team striking away Eeltail, one team striking away Urchin. So certainly we're trying to find somewhere in the middle of those 2 extremes.
It's like, oh, let's try the weird maps. Let's make sure that we go to the balanced ones where everybody will be able to do their job to the fullest. That's when you trust not just one player but the whole team and their ability to play together. You want something that's good for everybody. That being said, the pressure will be on Zekrom and Yoshel right here, because this is the map where the long-range chargers usually control the pace of the game. If you're able to set your backline on top mid, your opponent needs a special, pretty much, to move them out.
Yeah, and of course, second time today so far we've been seeing at this stage in particular, you'll see the focus towards the top right, controlling that path over the grates and a better angle of what's going on the other side of this stage, but plenty of other opportunities for stranger infiltration angles and the like for someone like that kid on an Ink Rush here. So going to be interested to see what iteration we're going to find out here. And then again, also, like, what Zenith is going to play. Because as far as I'm concerned, Zenith can almost play whatever, really, here, right? I mean, you slot in almost anything into Brush, likely 52, and Pencil, and it will work, right? So is it going to be a longer range threat that can be more supportive? Or another mini Splatling or something like that. We'll have to see, and we'll see right now. It'll be a Tri-Slosher, interestingly enough. Maybe trying to pair up for the shorter range, just like we saw in the last one. And okay, well,
Well, we're going to reset this, but while we get that person back in the lobby, is there something Zenith cannot play? Is more the question usually. I mean, I haven't seen them play backline because they play with Yoshel most of the time. But other than that, Zenith, I've seen them play pretty much every weapon in the game and absolutely shred with it. And that's how you recognize these top players. They can do everything of the game. They're on top of every aspect of the game, be it support, being aggro, being anything. You have to pay attention to these players because they know what to do and they know how to do it, whatever it is.
And I think the key with that too is having the knowledge of multiple different kinds of playstyles and multiple different kinds of weapons and what each of those wants to do allows you to better relate to your teammates, right?
Yeah.
If you can have a better sense of how you would approach something as a roller player, for instance, right? You would probably be able to better support that roller player if you were to find yourself in a supportive position. And I think that's also one of the reasons why we've seen Zenith take that backseat into more of those supportive roles, because with that amount and level of knowledge and flexibility, it's a lot easier to be the silent carry of the team and do the things like paint the ground, like make sure they can always find an escape. All of those types of issues and play styles are easier for them to do and have better awareness for in what actually needs done to set the team up best for success. I think that's just one of those things that as you continue building up all of these different play styles, you're able to think about the game in different ways.
Yeah, and bringing the Tri-Slasher will allow Zenith to really play every situation. That weapon can fight, that weapon can paint, that weapon can control from afar with the fizzy bombs. There's always something to do with the Tri-Slasher, and a player that can adapt to everything, that can play around everybody, is going to shine with that kind of weapon right there. So we'll see. Will Pathway be able to get in the room and get back in there and fight that? That's the big question. We're hoping K-Bot, everything should be in place very soon.
Sounds like we are loading into the game once more. Let's try it again. Take two towards Crab Leg Capital. Reminder, folks, again, Splat Zones, all events, both the qualifiers and the playoffs event in 3 weeks will be Splat Zones. And okay, we're confused into what's actually happening now. Okay. Yeah, they're ticking down the timer again. So maybe they're I don't know what they're doing. Talking 1 ounce more of strategy before folding into the game. All right. Enough of the waiting on the edge of our seats for the game to start. Let's wait on the edge of our seats for the action to play out in front of us. We load into game 1 in the first qualification match of today's event.
Yeah, and right there, that's the stamper that has the Booyah Bomb from Spexile. That Booyah Bomb will be able to really force the opponent to move, will give Pathway means to really secure their positions much more effectively. And right there we see Spexile with the stamper waiting for the opportunity. Is gunning for Yoshel, is not going to find the splat and is forced to move back and regroup with the rest of the team.
I do really like that positioning on the open from Spec. There were multiple opportunities potentially for something devastating to happen that would really open up the way this looked for Pathway. But alas, didn't quite get the job done at the moment. Now, though, we are seeing Ritpig9 take control of the zones. Yoshel getting set up on top with the E-Litter here. He is going to drop down for cooler, but we'll get right back to it. And this is where that oppressive range of the E-Leader is going to start to take a huge toll on the opponents. Meanwhile, it's Datkid here. There's the brush, leaps out, able to find one, and will drop on to the rest of the opponents, trying to limit what they can do, but it's not quite enough.
Yeah, the zone is still yellow, though. Pathway able to set the foothold on mid, but they struggle to get that zone. right after they get the cap, they lose a bit too many players. Tech surviving not long enough. Zenith is going to throw another Kuda. It's Red Pig back in control. Yosha grabbing another drink, getting back into that one spot where you cannot ignore them. But Gap around with the Gao going in, closing the distance. It looks like Pathway is finding a pathway to the zone.
Able to get in, but can they find a stronghold here, even despite finding potentially a cap? It looks like that kid gonna find a 1 for 2 going down in the process, and meanwhile, Rippick 9 once again largely has control. How is Pathway going to force all of these members of Rippick 9 off of the zone? They're going to need to find a way to work with the strikes and get Yoshel out of position, but that is so challenging to do with the amount of threats they have at their disposal. Zenith, beautiful back away, realizes that there was a potential threat for that side. It is rewarded with the play against Cap. This is the kind of way you need to protect the E-leader while it is on your team. And here's another Booyah Bomb. Again, the strikes come out too, but Yoshel's able to back on away. And meanwhile, Dat Kid leaps on them, is able to find a few trades at the front of the zone. And so once again, a cap may have come through, but isn't enough to find a full hold. It looks like maybe this time for sure with a 3-out situation. And Miner's going on a tear right now.
It really feels like Pathway is working harder for the same results right now. They had to use all of their specials to get that done. And Riptig is already back on the attack, but Zcaster is not finding the Splat. But Zekrom is still forced to jump away as Zenith is taking the strong position. And as that kid is back in there, Zenith is back to painting to the side, knowing exactly when to be in support. Phoenix going in across the grate, not able to find the Splat, but that's still Pathway forced to second guess, forced to wait for a better time.
10 ticks left to go here. Have to watch out now as the specials get thrown out again. But the triple X-Strike user gets taken down. Zenith is there to paint over top of the Booyah Bomb, and Dapkid might have gone down, but caused Spec not to go in. And it's Rip Pig 9 having control for just long enough to find the knockout.
That was just a single strike and a Booyah Bomb on the zone. That's not enough to paint, especially when all of Rip Pig 9 know that all they need to do is look at it, paint that zone, keep it going. That's a clean first game by Rip Pig 9. Pathway had a few good moves, was able to create something here and there, but was not really able to maintain their presence and keep Rip Pig 9 from going back in, from getting more momentum, from getting more Splat.
You know, and that's one of the things too with a lot of the specials that are played in traditional compositions. You're thinking this Booyah Bomb, the tripling strike. Yes, they're helpful for getting your teammates in, and we've done this a while now, right?
Yeah.
But the key difference about when you're playing them against an E-leader is that you don't necessarily have the time you might want to set those up. And when I say time, I mean a matter of like 2 or 3 more seconds. You don't have that kind of time because by the E-leader is going to reposition and you're going to be in danger while attempting to use those specials, right? You don't have the ability to be safe while trying to use them. And therefore, if you're not safe and you can't find a way to get a teammate into position, it's that much more challenging to actually make the E-leader move and find a way to get into the zone, especially to the extent that Rip Pig 9 was protecting Yoshel, as I called out a few times there as well. So hats off to them. They will strike away Museum and Bluefin heading over to Pathway's pick here for game 2. We'll see where they elect to go. They actually struck away Urchin Underpass, so can't go there to try to eliminate the E-leader player altogether, but we'll see what ends up happening.
And K-Bot, even when Pathway was dodging that E-leader, was finding the safe spots to prepare their specials, On the other side, there was an Octobrush or a Gal running across the grates with absolutely zero fear, going in and making sure that that one corner that the Eater was not shooting at, there was something else to dodge right there. We saw these strikes be in the wrong spot because not the Eliter, but the rest of the team simply, oh yeah, you're in that corner, the corner that the Eliter is not looking at right now. We're gonna splat you before you can throw all your strikes. And with Big 9, again, knowing how to cover the whole map together, really getting control. We're going to go back to Umami Rooms that we've seen earlier. I guess Pathway has a way to fight a bit better here. There won't be any grades, so a bit of a nerf on the brush and the leader.
Yeah, I think so much in Crab Leg was the E-Leader feeling out of reach. I think here, if you play your cards right, it will feel less out of reach in that way, right? If the E-Leader drops off on top of the grate, they're dropping off to that side, their own side of the zone, most likely, where they are well protected enough to get by. Meanwhile, of course, if you back off of top mid here, you're going to the opposite side of the zone, which is still a little easier to punish, right? You can still work your way up as the team that's taking, find a way to get to the opposing side rather easily. So it's not necessarily that much more challenging to try to punish an E-Leader here, but it may create more room for Rip Pig 9 to have more control around Yoshel if they're positioned properly. So we'll see whether or not that momentum can be kept up as we enter game 2.
And K-Bot, one thing to remember, these players, they probably were not watching stream when we saw this map earlier, but we know how dangerous an Octobrush can be on here. We know the chaos that can be caused by an Octobrush that has the confidence, that has the Zootcaster activated. Right now, Pathway is going to get the good opening, but with Big 9 is already preparing to push that forward.
I have to imagine Yoshel starting to get set up on this right side, perhaps. No, actually just coming down to the bottom. Okay, now going to start backing away. Now that the Booyah Bomb actually is thrown right towards the Tacticooler in an effort to cancel out the momentum of the push. Smart strategy play from Pathway to commit that Booyah Bomb, and now they have a decent amount of space here in front where Cap is able to apply even more pressure towards Rip Pig 9's side of the stage. The E-Leader has never been allowed to set up, and another set of strikes are coming through. They're not pushing forward with another round of the Tacticooler here. We'll see whether or not they decide to as Minor leaps over. There's that kid that's going to get taken down in Pathway. Almost to 100-0 knockout here. Cap going to find it against the last one there on Phoenix, and now, but is the only one left. The rest of Rip Pig 9 was able to take care of business on the other side of the zone, and they hold on for a while longer.
What an opening by Pathway, just few seconds away from victory. What a first minute that we had, but now it's Rip Pig 9. It's their turn to be in the driver's seat. The Eliter is going to fall in the Booyah Bomb. That's an unfortunate jump. 2 versus 2 right now. Cap still with that guy. We know Cap is good at surviving, he's good at fighting, but Zenith can never be underestimated. Whatever the weapon is going to be a danger.
Props to Zenith there. Cap being sent back to spawn. It means that Pathway has to completely regroup once more. Another thing I want to call on, somehow they just found a Cap, I think, so the penalty applied for at least the moment, but the other thing I want to call on is Spec's Booyah Bombs have got a bit on point here. They're either being responded to the Tacticooler in particular and or Yoshel's position, getting Yoshel a little bit out of position and forcing a possible opportunity for a player like Cap to come up and try to disrupt things. A Booyah Bomb being that disrupting tool is huge, and that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. On Crab Leg on the Greats, it's harder to find those Booyah Bomb opportunities, but here Spec is.
Spec is everywhere right now, and we see Pathway incredibly confident, able to take control of everything, never let Rip Pig 9 take a position, be comfortable, and the clock is ticking on a Rip Big 9 as Pathway simply staying around the zone, waiting for the opponent to make a mistake.
We'll see if they can knock out here or what Rip Pig 9 might have at their disposal. Cat Kid in the Zipcast. Going deep, not going to be able to find anyone as Miner takes it down. Meanwhile, Zenith steps forward, goes into the floor. It's a two-down situation for Pathway here, so the cap won't come through for them, and it will be the penalty applied for Rip Pig 9 to stay in. Meanwhile, though, we are getting down to the wire. Almost a minute left to play, just over it now. But that's more than enough time for Rip Pig to get set up in position, especially with Yoshel's position already.
Yoshel is in top mid, and Tatkid is simply cutting everything down. Once again, Cap surviving with that 52 gal. Cap has been the player to always look at on the side of Pathway. And Rip Big 9 are on top of it. No penalty, no worries for them. They're simply able to stay there. That kid coming in is not going to find that much, but one zone is still yellow. As long as one zone is yellow, well, not both zones have been taken, and with less than 30 seconds left, Pathway are in a very, very good spot, K-Bot.
Great retake from Pathway there. Now the question becomes, will they be able to find the hold here? And the next question is actually, would you rather attempt to hold this, or would you rather play for the retake? They have plenty of options at their disposal, especially given the advantage they have in the huge penalty that's been built up to this point. Looks like all of that is for naught, as Pathway is able to hold them well away from the zones and prevent Rip Pig 9 from contesting. And Pat, we have a series.
Yep, 1-1. These two teams showing us their game, and we really saw finding their confidence, finding their groove. Cap popping off left and right, even when the rest of their team was down. Cap was there to get some attention, allow the rest of the team to respawn, retake the position fast enough. Rip Big 9 was not able to get comfortable to put your shell safely as they were able to do in on Crab Leg, because Cap was shocking, because Cap was surviving everywhere. That's what a good 52 gal needs to do.
Certainly so, and the windows of opportunities that even one extra player surviving just an ounce longer can create for a team are very important to follow. But even that said, I think a large part of it was Rip Pig 9 was just never able to get set up, right? When you're playing the E-Leader, you're betting on the lockouts. You're betting on being able to range your opponent away. And they really didn't have much of an opportunity there at all. Like I said, in large part, thanks to those Booyah Bombs from Spec and a couple of other tools that Pathway had at their disposal, that on that particular stage played to the favor of the disruptor rather than the favor of the disrupted. And so we'll see whether or not we can find a safer E-Leader stage on the next one. Of course, with Eeltail already having been banned away by the team that I would expect would have picked it all of the same, we're going to see what they might be able to find with what is remaining.
Yeah, Pathway in the process of banning their stages right there. As you said, Rip Big 9 not able to set themselves, not able to really get the control over the ground the way they wanted to, the way they did in game number 1, and that's Pathway. Thanks to the speed, thanks to the confidence that they had, being able to make that work. Now, Brine Water Springs and Mincemeat Metalworks are banned. It's like, oh yeah, no, we don't want you to find a good map to set up your E-Liter. That's not allowed, that's not going to happen.
Certainly not, but there will be other stages to be played, right? This is not... you can't possibly strike away every single good E-Leader stage. There are. plenty of others at the disposal here, I'd have to imagine. I mean, even something... Okay. What, Mahi is still available, Manta potentially is still available, Hammerhead is still available. You can make an argument for something like Inkblot. Surgeon is there. Mako is still there. Wahoo is right there next to it. You cannot possibly strike everything away. And none of the ones I said are the ones we're going to. We're going to Barnacle.
I mean, there's a pattern there, Gable. One team is going to counterpick Barnacle and Dime. I think whatever the set, that's going to be a map that comes up. Every team wants to play here, which means I'm not so sure that it's such a good counterpick, but we'll see. Again, as we've seen, if you want to set yourself, if you want to control the space, this is the right map to establish that.
Certainly, and I suppose that's where it makes the most sense, is as we were talking about earlier, if you think about this stage there are multiple unique small little zones to control from a positioning perspective, not from an actual ink on the floor perspective. When you think about it like that, and you think about what this team has already been doing up to this point, they're trying to do that, right? They're trying to have multiple people protecting multiple different angles. Most often, Zenith drops back, Dak is moving forward, and Phoenix is somewhere in the middle, while they're all protecting different angles and avenues of attack to get into Yosha, which should have a safer time here. But instead, we've got the mix-up here with a bow coming out, a tri-stringer paired with the heavy edit. And this will certainly be interesting. The extra chip damage, I think, is maybe what's most exciting, but you're not going to have a lot of chip damage potential here, I suppose. I have to imagine, though, the extra mobility a bow provides much better here than an E-leader might.
Yeah, right there, with Big 9 going with the speed. And that's really the pairing of the bow and the heavy edit that will bring a lot of paint onto the whole map right there. With Big 9, they grabbed a few points, but they didn't push halfway out. So we're still very much in that neutral first fight until one team is really able to win that fight. That kid coming in, Zipcaster not able to kill Zekrom. That is halfway keeping themselves on the map. That is so important for them. That will allow them to really pulse the fight, keep going. The jumps are going just to keep the zone. And wait a minute, K-Bot. Big 9 has been holding the zone and pushing halfway out.
That was a delayed 3 down for those of you that might have blunked and missed it. Now 20 seconds, or 20 ticks, I should say, remaining from the win here. Big 9 still has a strong lockout despite not having a leader, but now they're the ones that go 2 down. Meanwhile, Phoenix infiltrating on the right side. Cap is there to pair up with the Booyah Bomb, so even though Phoenix went for a double in the opposing spawn, the Cap still comes through, and Cap is the one to get the last laugh themselves, getting that one onto Phoenix there, still in the Flow Aura stage and infiltrating now below Yosha. And so once again, Pathway holds on in this one, and we'll see whether or not they can set themselves up.
Right there, that was such an opening by Big 9. In the previous game, we saw Pathway right there, monster opening. Big 9 right now, it's their turn, but Pathway are holding. Beautiful snipe by the bow right there that will allow Zenith to really take a lot of space with that heavy slapping, and the chums all thrown control the zone. Phoenix is already in the right position, and Pathway needs another push. That's the lead kept for Big 9.
Maintained for the moment, of course. It's going to need to be a near knockout from Pathway in order to come back all the way through this one, and that is at least a minute of holding on, but players like Phoenix are going to make that even more challenging, picking up a double from behind, and so much control even still here for Ritpig9. Maybe they'll go for a knockout. It's a delayed third. Here's the fourth as DatKid goes in on the zip cast. Another gets taken down, and Sekrum's next on the chopping block again. It's once again Ritpig9 having such a strong lockout, and they will secure game 3, going up onto qualification point.
On their map pick, Ritpig9 are incredibly dangerous, incredibly confident, and Pathway managed to get one push. They managed to win one fight, but that's it. That was it. Ritpig9 simply getting all the momentum, all the right positions, not letting any mistake go by. Beautiful game by them.
And I also think the most notable thing in all of that, perhaps, is the fact that the complete composition mix-up from Ritpig9, where no longer are you having to worry about an E-leader threat. Instead, you're having to worry about both the Tri-Stringer and the Edit, neither of whom you really have a good idea of where they're going to be, right? They can largely be a lot of different places. Nobody's used to practicing against Tri-Stringers. You don't really know where they're going to be positioned or where they really favor, and so that can create elements of surprise where you're not expecting what's going to happen, and you don't really have as much of that opportunity to just say, nope, it's easy, throw the Booyah Bomb at the E-leader, problem solved, right? Not what can happen there at all. And so I think the change-up was very strong from Ritpig9, and we'll see whether or not Pathway finds an answer if Ritpig9 elects to stay on that route, which they very well may, and they very well may not. It likely depends on the stage.
Yeah, and one thing to note, K-Bot, is that with the heavy edit splatling, you have so much paint everywhere on the map. I mean, it's a weapon that paints so much at a good distance with a curling just to add more paint and mobility to it. Everywhere on the map is going to be painted, and when you have an Octobrush and a caliber, an Octobrush and a Gao of that caliber, if you don't know where the Gao and the brush are, you're about to die. That's just the fact. We saw them be everywhere all the time, and if Pathway lost track of Phoenix or DatKid, they would die. That's it. That was the game. That was the end of that team fight.
Yeah, I would say that's a very accurate assessment. The moment that you don't know where they are, they're probably right below your feet sharking you. And that's tends to be the case, certainly for DatKid and any 52 Gal player under the sun. Certainly the ones that we're seeing in the lobby. Okay, composition stuck with Ritpig9, picking Tri-Stringer and heavy edits. I really liked the combination in the last one. We'll see if it pans out just as much here on a stage that's about these side flank fights in addition to the more front to back style rather than setting up traditional crossfire. We'll see what ends up happening here. As now on the opening scrum, it is Ritpig9 going down first, and Pathway starts to have some control.
Yeah, and Ritpig9, I mean, the team that counterpicks gets the monster opening. That's what we've seen so far. Pathway able to get so much cap, being there with the Gao. That was so much time and ink to get cap out of here. Now Ritpig9 can finally set their sight onto the zone, but there's so many specials being thrown at them, K-Bot.
That was a ton of specials. Again, zoning away their opponents. The Booyah Bombs have been on point, and now Spec goes in for that pick. Is able to take down one before getting taken down. Cap going to be forced to jump one away thanks to the rest of the pressure from Ritpig9 that is coming out, and Ritpig9 will cap the zone in yellow. DatKid attempts to escape, but is denied in the process, and the Super Chumps are coming out have a little party with it. 2 down, though, for Rip Pig 9, and Pathway's pushing right back in.
Yeah, we see Miner running forward with that bucket, getting the trade with the opponent backline, but that is going to slow down Rip Pig 9's retake rate that they have to wait for Yoshel to be back in position before things happen. Yoshel is there, he's going to aim for that 10, but here comes more strikes to slow everything down. There isn't that much penalty right now, and that kid is surrounded, completely forced to jump out. Nothing is going right for Rip Pig 9 right now. Oh, wait, never mind.
Just as you say that, Wipeout comes through, able to find the pick against the Sniper on the back end. This will be the first largest hold for Rip Pig 9. We'll see what they elect to do with it, as that kid moves up pretty quickly, is going to be traded out. Another trade there, 2 versus 2 now on the stage, as Phoenix is moving up on that right side. Going to be able to find one against Miner, finding 2. No, denied there, but a teammate will help out and secure Zekub. And now you're seeing Rip Pig 9 have the flexibility to move in and out and continue controlling a large part of this courtyard. Great special stagger and use coming in from Pathway to try to make a play towards the zone, but it's not enough to take the lead before Rip Pig 9 is able to do it. And the wipeout is coming through for Rip Pig 9, looking to qualify for the Splat World Series. Just a few ticks separate them from the whistle, and they will. The first team from the West qualified for the Splat World Series is Rip Pig 9.
It took 2 minutes and a half for Yoshel to be able to put the super chumps in the opponent's spawn. But once that position was taken by Rip Pig 9, once they were able to really set themselves in that right position, once they had their sights forward, knew where their opponent was coming from, I mean, they're the team we know. They're the team that is incredibly solid, and you don't want them to control the space.
Yeah, right. And one of the things, again, talking about the lockout potential of this team, we saw it in 2 different variants. The E-Leader in the first few games, and then in this one with a Tri-Striker plus heavy edit. Like I was saying there at the very end, the flexibility to weave in and out. You get to choose whether you send your brush forward, your 52 gal forward, both, neither. Or maybe even it's the heavy edit that gets to move forward a little bit, right? But you have the speed as well to be able, the swim speed to dodge around strikes, dodge around a Booyah Bomb, make sure that you're still maintaining a decent amount of pressure and presence, and you make it that much more challenging for your opponent to find a way into the zone at all. So hats off to Rip Pig 9 for qualifying there. Pathway obviously still has another opportunity down on the lower bracket later today, but we have to qualify another team for the Splat World Series. The second qualification match will be between FT Win and Thriller Bark. Who is Thriller Bark? Well, if you didn't see it earlier, you'll have to find out on the other side of this short break. Don't go anywhere, folks. Another qualification match for the Splat World Series is on the other side.
closer, a whisper in the wind. The map is blank before me. Where do I begin? No fear of what's uncertain. The unknown feels like home. With every step I'm finding a place I've never known. Let's go where no one has ever been. A world unseen beneath our skin. Through endless skies, we'll break the chain. Uncharted lands will claim them all. Rise like tides and let it fall. Just endless sea. Come drift with me. Come drift with me.
And welcome back to the Splat World Series Qualifier. I am now joined by Magic 8-Ball. Magic, how are you doing?
I am absolutely thrilled to be here. Had a late start to the morning, but I've been watching the action. It has been fantastic so far. I've been loving seeing all of these teams. All of the familiar names, honestly, talking about it yesterday, we were unsure what the scale of things were going to be, but there were a lot of teams that ended up showing up and playing hard today already, and I'm excited to see where the rest of it goes, especially in this next qualification match, which is very, very much one for the books.
Yep, we have on the one side the team, but we expect to be here FT win. As we were talking with K-Bot earlier, this is not the FT win in their best shape. They're forced to have Snipes as a sub and lead. I mean, they're bringing players that we expect to do well, but this is not the absolute FT win. Still, very much incredibly dangerous, incredibly able to adapt to any situation. On the other side, the team that we did not expect, Bark, completely beating the odds and their opponents to make it to the semifinals, to the qualifying game.
Now, I mean, we say, oh, we didn't expect this, but that is a 4,500 X power player that Noctis is playing with. And I've seen these two other ones around. I can't tell you like exactly where, but I saw on their send-out pages like they've been playing consistently in the zone. They've been playing consistently in other tournaments. Yeah. So it's not like these are some randoms. These are very much high-level players, just new to us. But we're going to have to see if they're new to FT Win and this interesting roster that they're bringing, as well as an interesting composition that they're bringing. This is Snipes on bow. Pat.
Yes, Snipes loves that bow and is incredibly dangerous with it. We saw it in the other qualifier. That bow is very much a weapon. You have to know how to fight if you want to qualify. And right there, the pressure is on. Bark to find the counter to the bow right there. The zone is going to be capped by FT Win as Kyo is coming in with the Tri-Slosher. No fear, simply running forward as the rest of the team is cleaning up to the side and following to the platform.
And this is like a perfect kind of setup for Kyo, right? Like, talk about a player that loves to just hold down forward on the gray stick. Like, he just wants to go, and having a team that is able to support that with Leafy on this blaster to get damage so that he can move forward confidently, and then the bow to constantly put obstacles in the other team's path, as well as Bursty with this vacuum, just already doing a number on preventing the movement of these players. Gets two with a expertly placed shot. Everyone talks about Bursty, but holy cow, that was some mechanical prowess from the support player. Let's see if there's anything that Bark can do as they're trying to go on this top right side. There's only 4 ticks left. If ball goes down, there's no ink on the zone. Okay, so we talked about how FT Win might not be on their A game, but that kind of looked like an A game, Pat.
That looks like an FT Win game indeed. Control awareness, coordination, speed, they have it all. And that vacuum that Bursty gave us is a good reminder of how incredible of a player Bursty can be. Look at that. He's perfectly using really the movement of the platform right there, perfectly throwing the shot, getting the double. And we had Leafy to the side to protect the side of the vacuum as it was charging its ink. At this point, the vacuum is not a protection special. It's the Booyah Bomb that fires faster, it seems.
I guess that is a decent way to put it, right? Like, Booyah Bomb does so well at displacing, right, and preventing opponents from entering an area, but it gets to just do that for even longer than Booyah Bomb does. And so, yeah, it got to literally hold down a choke point for multiple seconds and then basically do the whole Booyah Bomb explosion just in a fraction of a second and with even more damage. You're right. It is just a leveled up version of it. I think it's so interesting too how we saw how Thriller Bark was able to do so much forward progress, how Noctis was able to use those lips and ledges, and you would think that a stage like the Marlin Airport would be perfect for the Luna Blaster, but Noctis got nothing done. And why do you think that is?
I think FT-Win decided where the fights would happen. They took control of that moving platform, and from that moment on, the second Kyo is beyond that moving platform, taking the space, painting around, Thriller Bark no longer has any control over where the fights take place. And the thing that makes a Luna Blaster, any blaster works, is the fact that they can decide where the fights happen, the fact that they can use the ledges to the best. FT-Win had that control. FT-Win knew where to be at all time, knew where and when to cut the distance, so they had control of the fights. But now on Macomart, there will be more opportunities for Noctis to make that Luna shine.
Very yeah, and you said it perfectly, right? What a blaster really wants is paint control, right? But mostly area control, right? Like the FT-Win comp was not super paint heavy, but is able to control space so well. So the Thriller Bark is going to have to find a way to poke and dig in to this very stable, control-heavy composition from FT-Win as we start this second game on Macomart. Already just ink flying everywhere.
Yeah, we open with a big fight. The Thriller Bark able to kind of set themselves right here. They still have a few players from FT-Win to look out for, but they're able to punish a lot. The Super Trumps are completely alone right there. And Thriller Bark are holding the zone. It looks like the switch to Macomart was the move that's really allowing them to make all of their players shine.
Oh, it's such good positioning of those triple ink strikes. And that's going to shut down Bursty's attempt with the ink vac. Already a complete reversal of the first game. Noctis finally taking the L on one of these fights. Snipes doing a wonderful job at zoning out, and really is going to be the difference maker here. Was the difference maker last game, and is able to put down those chumps on the zone and prevent the members of Thriller Bark from getting where they want to be. But there's a lot of ledges, and that was a great one from Pokechan to get every bit of that ink its most effective.
Yeah, and right there we see FT-Win. They have applied the penalty. There's a big penalty that's applied. Noctis flying around in the Zipcaster, not really able to find the splat on Snipes, who was forced to wait in the ink. Now, Leafy coming in, able to get a few good splats with that blaster and surviving that encounter as well. That's more pressure on the stack. FT-Win gets back control of the zone and more to come.
Leafy not going down there is actually so important, right? Noctis trading, that would have been perfect to set everything up to maintain control of that stack, right? Because as long as Leafy's there, as long as Leafy's around these ledges, there is no moving forward for the members of Thriller Bark. Again, the Inkvac from Bursty doing absolute wonders, knowing exactly when to move back and hold the shot, and able to once again completely block the choke point with that Inkvac shot. Not just the area denial of the suction. And since Kyo is still in position and Snipes has control of the zone, a 180 for FT win.
What? Oh, it's not over. It's not over. Oh, Thriller Bark are very low. There's one thing to do on paint.
The Chumps actually got it.
Chumps.
The Chumps got it. What? I don't think I saw exactly how FT got the rest of that paint on. All I could see was the Chumps and just a couple of spray shots. It looked like there were 3 members of had the potential to paint that. But FT clutched.
And that's the big difference between the bow and the pencil. Most of the time, the pencil will outpaint the bow. But if you need to paint at that exact moment, if you need to paint now, and you throw all these chumps on the zone, the pencil can't counter that. The pencil can't overpaint the chumps.
Right, the downtime. It's literally that small downtime from the pencil, and because they were all fighting forward, right? Like you saw, they were all in the zone, but none of them were focused on painting it, and all of a sudden the chumps coming out, they thought they had it, and then a few more shots was all that they needed, and that... I'm gonna talk... I'm gonna go into a little bit more depth here. There's a very interesting video that Gem put out like years ago on Squid Spool called, talking about burst paint, right? And the difference in the, how much can you put out consistently? Like how much does that play into things like especially splat zones, right? That's why suction bombs are so good on splat zones, is because they do a lot of paint very quickly that you can't really deny, right? Like that's the importance of burst paint. And when you look at the composition of Thriller Bark, they don't have what it takes to match that kind of burst. And that's the difference. That's the win condition that FT played to. And doing that and knowing that at that exact moment is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, if you wonder why burst paint is important, why painting from a distance is important, that's why. That's exactly why. Because when it matters the most, it wins the game. Thriller Bark, not hesitating much. Counterpick, Hagglefish Market. We go to the known quantity, to the sure value. That's 2-0 for FT win. Thriller Bark have shown us an incredible opening in the previous game. If they can repeat that opening, they can get some momentum. Now, the big question is, can they do it? FT feels invincible right now.
I really think that the biggest difference maker that I need to see step up is this slosher player on Thriller Bark. Mako, I know, can do a whole bunch of work, and this is definitely the stage to show it, right? But, landing a couple of clutch triple ink strikes is great and all, but you as a slosher need to be doing so much more if you're going to be playing that weapon. And right now, I haven't been seeing like this kind of star plays that I'm expecting from like a slosher player like Bran, that's the difference that needs to be made. Although maybe they're listening to my advice here on the cast, because it seems like finally it's happening.
Yeah, right there. Thriller Bark hemorrhaging players are still making points, lots of points. They got to 41 in the first minute. Now it's FT turn to get their control, and look at that. They're all in front of the map. They know where to look at. Thriller Bark is going to need their specials, is going to need all their coordination if they want to break the wall that is FT in their positions.
The wall, here comes the Inkvac. Talk about walling out your opponents and allowing a player like Kyo to move forward. Mako having to dodge the Inkvac shot, but successfully does so. 3-4 specials coming out from the members of Thriller but two of them go down in the process. It's an even trade. It's Snipes and Bursty, and they're able to get jumps in, and for whatever reason, Miku and Mako were not able to paint. Leafy coming around the most clutch blaster shots I think I've ever seen.
Okay.
What was that flank?
That's FT win. That's FT win for you. And I think we can like, I don't think the strikes will be enough. FT win will qualify for the Splat World Series Global Gauntlet with a clean 3-0. Willerbark gave us action, made us believe, but at the end of the day, when FT win starts going, once the momentum is on, there's no stopping that team. You can't stop them.
Exactly. And you know, there have been times where their weakness has been shown, but every single time that these players show up, whether it's with Snipes, whether it's with Roth, whether it's with Sam, or all of the different variations that we've seen in the past, FT1 is just such a staple, and it is Hyo, and it is Bursty, and it is the long-term synergy that they've built up over time, and so often they just want to prove that they are the best in the world, and they're going to get the chance to do that again in the Splat World Series finals that are coming up in August.
Yeah.
That was such good Splatoon. That was such good Splatoon.
Yeah, but it's not over. It is not over. We're now going to go to the lower bracket, Magic, because there's still one spot to be taken today. One last ticket for the global gauntlet, and there's 4 teams still on the line to get it. Willerbark, of course, that we just saw. Flowerman, that we haven't seen at all today, and on the other side, Pathway and Non-Existence, 2 teams that we've seen play today. Non-Existence. Non-Existence got beaten in the first round, their first round.
Yeah, and look at
they're still here.
Look at the path that they've taken, right? They were able to get through Hypernova and then beat the team that beat them in round 1 in a 3-game set. So they've been going the distance, it seems like, for almost the entirety of the time that they've been playing the past few hours. So hopefully they've still got the gas to give us a great show and show us that they can really compete at this top level. But they have a very difficult opponent in Pathway, who is very much familiar to this kind of a stage.
Yeah. And I believe we're going to watch Pathway and Non-Existence fight each other in the lower bracket quarterfinals. So we're going to get right in there. It's lower bracket, so we're back to best of 3 Magic, and I mean that's going to be intense. These are important best of 3s to play.
Very, very important best of 3s to play, and it always feels so hard to stomach a loss when you're in this position. Prosper, though, I feel like could lead a team like this, right? With the coordination with J-Rod, like, they have pretty solid synergy as kind of like a pressuring combo. I'm not as familiar with Kay and Shiva, but I am very excited to see some new faces at this top level. I just want to throw in real quick, on the other side of the bracket is Thrillerbark versus Flowerman, and I'm expecting Thrillerbark was going to show up in this final qualification match, but I am curious about this Flowerman team. Just wanted to throw that in there. Let's look at Pathways once again. And Pat, who is your star player for this team?
I mean, the one player that we've seen so much against the Pigs was Cap, being on every single fight with the 52 gal, surviving things that they should not have survived, getting splats that their opponents didn't want to see. Cap was a demon, and I mean, pay attention, but I don't see Cap. Oh, I guess that's yes. Okay. That's they're using it now. Yes.
Right,
Okay,
just
easy,
a
easy.
little twist in the situation, but all in all, this is going to be an intense, very harsh losers quarterfinals round to go through for both of these teams, as we see Spec, as we see Cap, as we see Ingite and J-Rod, and all of these players who have been at this high level for a long time try and prove that they should be the ones going to represent the West in this international competition as Prosper and Spec face off, and Prosper is able to land some key shots and get this control for non-existence.
Yeah. Both teams still fighting around mid, and until one team is able to really push the other team out, nothing is decided. The pace of the game is still at stake. Right, the Cap with the Gal is thrown out of here. That's 3 down onto Pathway. Non-existent are pushing forward and are not wasting a second, already getting under these ledges, making sure that everybody from Pathway is coming from spawn. Now Pathway needs to mount a push.
Let's see if they can. They're doing the right thing by going to this right side, going to this high ground, playing from some safer spots. It seems like they are a very technically strong team, right? Like they executed that like it was bread and butter, right? You don't need a whole kitchen for that, but they are cooking. So I'm expecting this kind of play, and I'm expecting the members of Non-Existence to have to try and be kind of the changer of the game, right? Set the pace differently, do things in a little bit of a less optimal, or at least a very unique way, in order to imbalance this stable play from players like Miner and Spec that can just wall you out. And it seems like they're able to successfully do so. J-Rod able to use this Nautilus on this zone, able to completely keep the players at bay, but they still got to get through these specials.
Yeah, Molt come right now. 2 down on to Pathway. That's still though Cap to the side with the Gal surviving, getting some attention and forcing Non-Existence to waste to fight. And the fight is still going 2 versus 2 around the zone. It looks like Non-Existence will keep their control. They're making good points. There isn't that much penalty, and with that Splat on the 52 Gal, they're going to set themselves and establish their defense now.
Wow, Non-Existence doing a wonderful job. I see what you mean about Cap being the star player. Definitely doing wonderful work staying alive, constantly being a thorn in the side of Non-Existence, but the rest of the members of Pathway were not able to follow up, unlike what we're seeing from Non-Existence, which is a huge follow-up here. A big wipeout off of the pressure of Prosper. J-Rod doing a wonderful job clearing the way through that tiny little gap, that canyon that shouldn't ever be able to be crossed, but is able to land it forward, and there's just not enough time for Pathway to get through here, especially with all the specials coming through from Non-Existence. They're 1 game away from getting to the qualifying match after getting knocked out 0-2 in round 1, Pat.
That's their bracket. Lower bracket is their bracket. Some teams play better in upper bracket when they are confident. Some teams are more dangerous when they are back to the wall. And right there, we see exactly that. Non-Existence. They lost the lead. They got pummeled at some point. They struggled at some point. It did not matter. They were always able to come back, to create more chaos, to flank, to attack, to not let Pathway be comfortable. And Pathway, our seed number 3, is being shown that this qualifier is seeing a few upsets, is seeing a few teams absolutely step up and create surprises.
Definitely, what I want to bring up is the way that they had specials at the ready whenever there was chance for Pathway, right? Like, there was one time when Pathway was in control of the zone and they had the Booyah Bomb and they were ready, and then Ingite at the perfect time just pops the Zuka and gets like 1 or 2 or like 1.5, right? That is the kind of difference that they're bringing, right? They're have such good special frequency, right? They're constantly painting up for it and making sure that they have it at the right times. it's honestly very impressive. But I would expect it from this caliber of team. I don't know if people remember J-Rod. Do people remember J-Rod? Does anyone know? Are there any knowers in chat? Like, this is a player who's been around for a long time and is an expert with the Nautilus. And
yeah,
like, honestly, seeing that name again, I was like, is that who I think it is? And yeah.
And at some point, we saw Cap with the Gout for Pathway shark their way under the ledge, under the drop. J-Rod dropped with the Nautilus. Cap popped off of the ink and tried to splat another player. J-Rod snapped instantly and denied that splat, completely negating the shark. That's the kind of awareness that you can only get by playing the game over and over at the highest level for years. But now we are going on to Pathways counterpick. We are going onto Umami rooms where things are likely to go differently, because I mean that's such a different map with the double zones, with the zones that are so small. Things can go very, very fast, and J-Rod isolated is not able to get that fight.
Not able to get the fight. This time, it's looking like Pathway, with their backs against the wall, is finally stepping up here. They did pick this stage, Umami Ruins, and so I'd hope that they have some kind of confident game plan and a way to disrupt the kind of chaos that was being brought from non-existence. It seems like they're doing a good job right here. They're being shoved back just a bit, but still able to kind of be in that sidestep lockout phase.
Yeah.
They're just needing to get a couple more picks here, and they can secure this game, send it to a game 3, and get themselves an opportunity for that qualifying match. But this is exactly what they needed. Cap doing wonderful, hiding out in one of the most dangerous spots in the stage, in that bottom area. Finally, the members of non-existence try and approach the zone, but it was just too little too late. And in the blink of an eye, once again, a complete turnaround in this set, in this game, in this match, in the concept of control for what we expected. And Pat, this is why people love zones, I think, is because it really can flip on a dime if you're not prepared.
And it can flip or it can not flip right there. We saw a Pathway stop, control, deny. Nothing was allowed to be done against them. And that's what you want to get from your counter pick, especially in a best of 3. You know you don't have second chances. You know losing the first game loses you the counter pick advantage, loses you momentum. Right there, Pathway did not just reset the score. They reset the clock. And after that game that just happened, the teams are tied in points, but it really feels like Pathway is winning this one.
We'll have to see if non-existence can keep this run going, right? This marathon, right? Like, if you've ever run a marathon, you know that they have to like get cups of water and food from the side because they're just running for so long, and hopefully they can refuel up really quickly and keep this Cinderella run going, quite honestly, and continue this. They are going to get this pick for this stage. Let's see what it is. They've been banning very, very like tight maps is what I'm seeing, right? Like, you talk about Humpback Pump Track, like it is so hard to get your distance there, right? Right, to keep your distance, to have Prosper have those opportunities. And I think that's why Shipshape was so strong for them, is because it is a bit more linear. It is a bit more, there's enough distance for Prosper to make plays. There's enough distance for J-Rod to utilize the range of the Nautilus. And I think that's kind of what they're going for here. And I think that's recognized, especially in these bans that we see from Pathway, these last couple of bans, right? They don't want Wahoo. They don't want Manta. These very much like one lane stages where you only have one way to try and step up against these really strong long range opponents. I'm expecting something like a Crab Leg, like a Scorch, maybe Eel Tail.
I mean,
we're gonna see what happens.
Right there, we saw Pathway take control of the map and find the counter to everything. We're going to go to Undertow Spillway magic that has just been counterpicked by non-existence. We talked about non-existence. They're the team that has been back to the wall this whole tournament. They got thrown in the lower bracket incredibly early. And now we're going to a map that has walls everywhere, walls galore. And it's going to be about being able to go around, being able to keep control of these two zones, and going through that one choke point in the center. But yep, that's the final game. Whoever wins this goes to the qualifying game.
Just real quick here, there is a change for non-existence. Ingite was subbed out, and Coma is subbing in a French sword main, and that's going to bring an interesting difference here, right? You saw Ingite playing those kind of high-paced shooters, and this is going to be a sword who's probably also very aggressive, but it is going to bring a different kind of energy, and it seems like an energy that the members of Pathway are struggling with, right? We're seeing a lot of people on this stage, right? The members are kind of backed into a corner here on Pathway. That's the zone cap. This is very much already looking like a back and forth kind of game that's not going to end in 1 minute, Matt.
Yeah, the fight for mid, whichever team is able to really push ahead of the zones will have control of the base. Right now, it looks like non-existent are able to set themselves in front. Coma with that sword is very much warmed up, and everybody is waiting for Pathway to try to push in the Booyah Bomb to really stop anything in its track. It will feel like there's constantly a special from non-existent to keep Pathway from going in, and they keep the zone magic.
They're keeping the zones, not for long, I don't think, but J-Rod does have something to say, has the cooler buff as well, and Prosper is able to sit here in the back and make sure that it is not a complete takeover for the members of Pathway. Non-existence doing a great job at weathering the storm here, but that is a very much what we want to see from Pathways, right? You want to see them take the members down very quickly, right? This is a team that wants to all in, right? You have Miner, who is so strong. You have the sword that has been putting in absolute work, right? At keeping and Cap, who can just tear open the game, right? You want to have these all-ins. The struggle for non-existence has been preventing that, and it is so difficult, especially with Prosper, who is being forced all the way back to the base here. This is where you really need to put the pedal to the metal and kind of just step up and prevent and isolate those fights, and it seems like that is finally what non-existence is doing here as they rush towards these zones. They're trying to just get ahead of the curve, and it seems like they're able to do so. Once again, Cap is getting this backfield pressure, but I don't think it is quite where non-existence wants to be, because they're just gonna get collapsed in on.
Yeah, Pathway able to get back forward. Miner under the ledges with that bucket. Miner is so dangerous in this position, and right there, that's no more penalty. Pathway is going to get that lead as the non-existent is still in the fight, trying to get back in, but they lost their sword. They have to push in right there. They don't have much time because the clock is ticking. Every second is a few points for Pathway.
She just went down there at the worst possible time, had a special at the ready, and was in a good position, and now is having to use the splashdown to try and take down Cap, and ends up trading. This is Pathway looking to lock it in, send themselves to the qualifying match. J-Rod trying to move forward. No, that is Liberation doing a wonderful job. Zekrom able to just completely stabilize, and Pathway, after a very dangerous game one, able to turn things around, find their way through, get their all-ins where they need them, and have the coordination of Spec and Miner and Cap. And they're able to go through to this final qualifying match for the day. Pat, that was electric. I'm not sure if it's quite the level of play that's needed to beat a team like Thriller Bark, though.
Don't underestimate Pathway. They got to the other semifinals. They almost got their qualifier already, and this is their second chance. Certainly, it's not over. They struggled a bit against Non-Existence, but Non-Existence is probably a team that they were not aware of, that they were not able to prepare for, because they were playing so differently. They just lurked in below bracket, got their crazy run. But now, Friedelberg and Flowerman are still fighting. And Magic, you said that Pathway needs to beat Friedelberg. Right now, Friedelberg is losing 1-0 against Flowerman.
I see that, and I am very curious about this team, right? This Flowerman team, that Cairo, Ryu, Soro, and Bonk, right? And perhaps I'm just a little bit out of the know. And game 2 did just start, so this is the most up-to-date set count. Thriller Bark is behind the times.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how things go. I think we're gonna go to a short break as we wait for that set to be over, or as we wait to know Pathway's opponent, and we'll be back in a second.
私と戦ない負けたかったんじゃない私と止まらない後ろには戻らない私とだけが助けて欲しかったんじゃない私と強いから一人に呼びれないから中の傷を隠してそれを壊した壊してしまったなくしてしまった世界が一人捨ててしまえたかぶってしまえた世界が一人壊してしまったなくしてしまった世界が一人楽しんでるそんな世界だなさぞかし幸せだったでしょうね見せかけの愛で私を叱らないでもうこれ以上迷わせないで見せかけの愛で私を消さないでもうこれ以上苦しめないで叩いてしまった叫んでしまった世界が一人捨ててしまえた消えてしまえた世界が一人砕いてしまったなくしてしまった世界が一人楽しんでるそんな世界だな本当に幸せだったでしょうね歌のいない世界を皆があったんだ寂しさに泣いたもう一人の話無駄でしょ一人に怯れて望んで閉じ込められたってあの子だから一人なの 飛ばせ始めるぜアンドラ全て吊るさらしてんだぶっ飛ばせ急加速全開冷えた道を温めろ鬼に僕の暴走は原付きぬるい頭は勝ち割ります全力に全輪注意緊張次第どうしたいんだろう崩したいんだろうじれったい限界をどこでビビったら負けた人生は一度だぶち切れ答えは後だ
That gave me so many chills. That entire video was so dope. That is Splat World Series, the overview of this entire structure that has been put in place, and a lot of work has been done over the past few months by the wonderful production staff, by all of the people who have worked on this. Splat World Series is shaping up to be possibly the tournament of all time, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. I'm so glad that we are coming up on a crazy set, Pat, that you said is a rematch of a prior round. We have Flower Man versus Hathaway.
It's a rematch indeed, and as you said, we are so lucky to get the front row seat of this Splat World Series. Now it's time for the final set of today. Flowerman and Pathway. Again, these two teams met in upper bracket. Pathway won 3-0, but things that happened since Pathway has stumbled a bit. Flowerman was able to slay our dark horse of the tournament and take their spot. Fillerbark is no more. Flowerman bringing with Bonk a roller and brush. Cairo with the Tetras. Sora will be providing the backline. I don't know what Ryu will be playing, but yeah, pretty interesting team between Bonk and Cairo. There will be lots of action, lots of fights coming.
Okay, it looks like the player Sora was subbed out for a player named Taxes, and Ryu is a shooter player. Taxes is a leader player. So looking like it could be a Zap leader comp coming through for Flowerman. And that would make sense, right? That if there's anything that the Thriller Bark team would be weak to, it would be that devastating play from a strong E-leader. So I'm excited to see what Flowerman has to offer, because I was completely convinced that Thriller Bark was going to be at the top of this set. And at the bottom, we have Pathway, who we've seen multiple times, like you said, has had a very strong run. These are all players that are very familiar, that we know very well, and have done such good work in taking down strong, high-level opponents. Do they have what it takes to qualify for the most important tournament probably in the last few years?
Yeah.
We're going to see.
It's the final set, and Pathway, they've shown that they have that level of being the seed 3 of this qualifier, of make it hit here. But when you're in here, when all the pressure is here, when we've just run a marathon, Magic, you have to be ready for everything. You have to have everything on lock. Because Flowerman, yeah, they got beaten 3-0. That was a different day. That was a different team. Everything is different when you're back to the wall, when all is on the line, and when just 5 games decide whether you go home or whether you go to the global competition.
It looks like the bans were all come through, and the random map selected was Robo Ramen, which is very interesting. I think that this kind of favors the Flowerman roster, right? Like the strong E-leader player that can just sit up there and completely take over that high area of the stage, and having a Tetra player and a Brush player just going crazy on the sides, right, will give you full control. And so it's going to be interesting how Pathway kind of adapts, right? Like they have such a strong all-in kind of roster that they're going to be wanting to take these key choke points and, like you say, like I said earlier, do the bread and butter. But I don't know if that's going to work against a team that has such a different fighting style. I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, very much a lot possible. Let me try to find if this is a map that these two teams play. Yes, these two teams played on this map in their previous set. So this is a map where we don't know what they're about to play, but these two teams have an idea of what the others want to do. There's been a sub since, so Flowerman is probably going to switch things up. And right there, as you were calling, we see the Zap and the Lita paired up to support the Roller and the Tetra. So we have two very solid weapons between the Lita and the Zap, and two weapons that simply want to go into the fight, want to create opportunities for the team. On the other side, Pathway is playing the comp that we've seen over and over, the weapons that we know and love, and know that they can adapt to pretty much any situation.
That bonk almost got such huge picks there in this qualifying match. The last qualifier in the first Western qualifier for the Splat World Series playoffs. And this is going to determine how the entire rest of this season is going to go, as Axe's, aka Sonic Fan 13, is going to be trying to clear the way for these strong offensive threats. And it seems like the members of Pathway aren't quite sure of what to do and seem to just be bunching up and falling into the line of that E-leader. There's so much that could happen right here, but I think that this roller is really the difference maker. Bonk, I haven't seen this player play before, but I am thrilled at what I'm seeing.
Yeah, great control of the zone by Flowerman. Wait, the zone is still not flipped even when Pathway pushes, even with the strikes, and now they lose their players. Flowerman is absolutely shredding everything. 20 ticks left. I'm not even sure Pathway has the time to go back to the zone. Spec, we have almost not enough cappies on the zone with the cow. They need to paint that zone. They need to paint that zone. Miner dancing around, is not finding the splat. And finally, by a hair, Pathway is surviving this game. They're supposed to be winning on paper, but right now they need a comeback, Magic.
I am just floored at the fact that Bonk could have come up so huge in two different scenarios now and just ran out of ink. I think the ink management, if it's just a touch better, this is already a said and done game. But Pathways, to their credit, collapsed when they needed to, have been constantly putting out the pressure, and the shots have had to continue flying from Bonk. The pressure from Boshi to keep Bonk painted has been very strong, and Cap has been doing a great job at keeping themselves alive and going around these corners to make sure that it is not a complete domination and that they don't have to go through the hands of that E-leader, because if they do, they're going to catch the hands and it is not going to be pretty.
If it is a surprise you are dead. Bonk keeps putting that bubbler in that same spot right behind the opponent's wall just to hold the zone and enable the team to do so many different moves. That's perfect double placement right there. And Pathway has been struggling to really find a counter to everything that Flower Man is throwing at them all the time. Spec throwing the Booyah Bomb just far ahead, trying to create some space, trying to force Pathway, Flower Man to just second guess themselves. And that's enabling Pathway to retake a lot of control. I see this re-slider going in. That's not enough to apply penalty though. And it looks like with 3 down, Pathway are finally able to breathe.
It looks like they're taking a page out of the non-existence book, and they're constantly trying to just flood the zone with specials. Take these weird angle fights, and you see Miner doing a great job of that here. These sides are so critical to control, and Spec has been doing great at that, but it seems like maybe there's finally an adjustment from Bochi on this zap. Bonk able to move forward, and Sonic Fan, aka Taxes, is just trying to completely shut them down from the center of the stage. This is crazy, because that's not where an E-leader should be standing, but I guess if you go 2 down, it works.
And right now, we're almost done with the penalty. Pathway is forced to move forward. The strikes coming in, they're not enough to cap the zone. Cap coming in with the Gal, instantly shredded Bocce. Absolutely taking the control right there. There is nothing Pathway can do. Flower Man is going to get game number 1.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I could talk to you all day about the analysis about the what fights should be going, but if both teams are basically committed to, I want to run you down, I want to take fights, I want to try and simply be better than you, then it is going to come down to execution, execution, execution. And you saw the level that both of these teams are playing at with their aim, with their firefight strategy, with their presence and movement and skill is out of this world. And it is going to come down to who simply gets a good fight at the right time for deciding who is going to go to the Splat World Series.
Right now, my money is on Bonk. Bonk has been incredible that whole game. Was denying space with the bubbler, really controlling a lot of the base of what Pathway could do. Meanwhile, Bonk, with the main weapon, of course, was just camping the ledges, finding the surprises, finding the splats. Bonk was a demon for most of that game, and it really felt like Bocce took the relay at the end with the Gal to seal the deal, but it was Bonk that really gave that lead to Flower Man. And right now, I mean, we've seen a few surprises, Magic. We might see one more right now. Flower Man are up 1-0 against Pathway, the team that beat them 3-0 in upper bracket, but doesn't matter. It's a different set. It's a different Flower Man.
Yeah, it really does feel like that. It feels like this is a completely different monster that we're seeing, right? Like, and it's nothing like what we've seen today. It feels like it's nothing like what Pathway expected either, right? With how kind of frantic they were playing, right? They were, like I said, constantly taking fights, like not doing the classic, oh, we're just going to move 1 to 2 to 3 as a unit. They're just going to try and meet them where they're at, because maybe they were just getting destroyed when they were trying to do that, the classic strategy that they were probably planning there, right? Like maybe there was a change in the E-leader versus the pencil from Flower Man, or the roller versus the brush, or the way that Ryu, aka Bocce, was playing. right? Because we saw that there was so much aggression from that NZAP, especially on that back end. I don't know. I'm curious if it is just a matter of a change in composition or a full change in mentality from Flowerman. But either way, this is a whole new ball game.
Yeah, always something to do right now. The bans are down. Museum d'Alfonsino and Marlin Airport are out. We won't be seeing them today. And now the pressure is on Pathway. And Pathway, they instantly locked it. They didn't hesitate a second. We are going to Umami Runes. And I mean, we saw them in the previous set. They lost the first game, they went to Umami Runes, and they were dominant there. So this is the map where they can feel their most confident.
Yeah, I think dominant is an understatement, quite honestly. That was a stellar showing. And it seems like they want to pick it against everyone. So maybe they're focused on this specific setup of plays. Like maybe they're trying to get Minor and Spec to feel confident in what fights they can take, what positions they can play, right? But it's a lot harder to do that against a roller that can pop out and one-shot you if you're not careful around a corner, and a Tetras that can very easily roll off of that top mid slot and rush you down and get inside of your hitboxes. So, yeah, exactly, just like that, Cairo starting off the match, and once again, Pathway is on the back foot.
Yeah, and right there, at the Zekrom, I'm using the cooler as a wall to survive and jump away. Getting away right there, that's still a pretty nice bonus. That's going to allow all of Pathway to get back their position a bit faster. But Bonk is already there, pushing everybody down, and now they're stuck. They're stuck here. The Reef Slider is going to seal the deal. Flowerman.
This is high level.
Halfway through. What's happening?
This is high level. Bonk knowing that taking that flank and calling it out and saying, hey, Cairo, do you have Reef Slider? Watch this. I'm going to shove them all down there. Even if they see me coming, even if they kill me as soon as I drop on them after they get into this position, they're just going to get Reef Slider. They have too much damage on them, and they got taken out. And it's just happening again. There's a shark in the water. There's nothing that they can do. This is Flowerman deciding that this is their garden and they're going to defend it with their lives. But finally, Pathway cuts it down and decides, no, we still have something to show. But we saw this in Robo Ramen. They applied the penalty, and it was, again, an absolute ink bath. But they want to try and hold on once again, and they have an opportunity to do so.
That was a monster hold by Flowerman, but now it's Pathway's turn, and we know that Pathway, once they have their position set, they're also very dangerous. Right now, we're already past the halfway point, and Cairo is trying to go in with that Reef Slider. We know that Reef Slider is dangerous, but it's not going to find much. The main weapon will do the job, though, and he's going to get a trade with Spec as well. Flowerman keeps their lead, keeps their presence. We're halfway through the game, Magic, and so much has happened already. As Pathway now needs to mount an overpush, and Sunnyfan is in the right position for an Elita to deny anybody from peeking.
This is, once again, to decide who goes to the Splat World Series. The World Championship, essentially. This is one of the most important sets that they are playing this year, and they're doing everything in their power. I just want to see if Pathway can rise to the moment. This is where we saw them fall last time. This second push in, it seems like they've at least got something more going. It seems like Spec able to use that side effectively. It seems like there's 2 down, 3 on the side of Flowerman. All of a sudden, Pathways is making this a different scenario from last time. This is their chance to bring this back and say, no, we're the ones who want to qualify right here, right now.
Yeah.
We are the highest level in the West.
And with a wipeout, Pathway is getting their head back in the game. An extra splat on the Tetras before they can get their shenanigans on means all of Pathway has control of that spot, of the spawn. Flowerman needs to fight away from the zone. That will allow Pathway to respawn and super jump back into the fight before Flowerman gets in there. And Cap dancing around with the Gal, not stopping, surviving Gal with all the splats. Gal absolutely sealing that deal. Nothing can be done against a Gal that has that kind of movement. Cap winning this game for Pathway.
Going on. How is it that one player into that absolutely dangerous like pit of a spot can take over a game, can just rack up all of these plays? There's just so much cover to play around. There's so much potential for movement that they can just dominate, and they execute on it both times that we see it.
You're supposed to die there. You're supposed to die there.
You
You're
are
not
supposed
supposed to get a triple. You're supposed to die, captain chair. And at some point, there's positioning, there's coordination, but there's nerves. There's just here comes all the pressure. You almost KO'd us after beating us in the first game. We're gonna come back, we're gonna lock in, and we're going to do the impossible. Pathway ties up the score after conceding the start of the game. They almost got KO'd! And Flowerman now needs to counterpick, as these two teams are 1-1.
And it really is crazy too, right? Like, we talk about coordination. I mean, every single time the members of Flowerman just dove in, and just fell into the waiting hands of Cap, right? Like, if something had just gone a little bit different, and it seemed like they were playing a bit more frantic, right? Like, when Bonk dropped there onto Cap, I was like, are you for realsies? is that what's like? Are they flustered? Is there nerves? Is it the length of how long they've been playing of the game? Right, the past 5 minutes. Did they just have a slip up in that moment? Right, like why are they not coordinating this fight? And that's really the difference. It's literally that small. A win and a loss comes down to those tiny decisions.
Can you run a marathon without blinking? You're not allowed to blink. If you blink, you die, and you have to run a marathon. That's what these two teams have to do at this point. And we've seen coordination, we've seen strategy, we've seen speed. That's done. These teams have shown that. These teams have that. At this point, what decides the game is nerves. What decides the game is stamina. What decides the game is just avoid that extra mistake. And right now, Pathway and Flowerman, they have to go the distance. They have to show what very few teams can show, and that is perform in one of the biggest tournaments of the year. And you are going to do the distance through that tournament. No other team is like, they're the last two teams playing. Everybody else has gone home. Everybody else is resting. These two teams are still there fighting for every drop of ink.
Yeah, everything else is boiled away, and now simply mentality and fortitude is what remains. And speaking of remaining, after all of these bans, right, we saw Shipshape and Brinewater get banned, and now Manta Maria is the counter pick for Flowerman, which does make sense. I feel like Zone's Manta Maria is an E-liter heaven, right? but it can also be very hard, especially if the E-leader wants to take aggressive positions, and there's players that are running across the grates and constantly pressuring Bunk, and you know, all these like long-range specials that can really disrupt you, right? Like the whale. It's gonna be interesting to see what the counterplay is from Flowerman, because again, this is 1-1, right? Both of these teams have one more set of mistakes to make.
Ooh.
Oh.
And we see a carbon roller, and I was about to say the two players to watch right now, Magic, are Miner and Bonk, because if you get a roller or a slosher in the opponent street, if you're able to go camp these ledges, there's pretty much no way back to the zone. You're all forced to go the long way, and the backline will see you. The backline will be able to shoot you. So if Miner or Bonk is able to take the forward position, is able to go in, and Bonk is going forward, is taking control of the top of the bunker, and is now going to go camp the ledges. All of these ledges are so good for a carbon.
And you can see that this time Bonk didn't just drop, stayed up at the top and was swinging down, right? Immediately learning from that mistake from the last game and taking a different stance, taking a different chance, and knowing exactly when to send it. And especially if you're playing Carbon, you need to be disciplined on that. Speaking of discipline, Miner is just working wonders with knowing exactly how to manage those shots. I feel like all of these players are just exceptional. All of them have such high potential, and I'm so excited to see which sword is the sharpest.
Yeah. Well, here comes Cairo with the Reef Slider, getting a trade and trying to move the team forward, but all of that way is locking the zones right now. I'm waiting for Flowerman to go in so that they can punish them. And the power of the double zones is that you can give a zone to your opponent and still not have penalty applied. That gives you more room to breathe. Right now, that way, they can wait a little bit. They have no penalty applied as long as they find Bonk, but Bonk is finding them, getting a double before being splatted. That could be the opportunity for the rest of Flowerman, and they are jumping on it. Bocchi is taking a lot of space with that zap. Halfway right now, they're waiting for Flowerman to attempt to push.
They were waiting, and rightfully so, right? You can't get too far away from the E-leader's assistance with that laser. It seems though there's a lot of specials at the ready for both of these teams, right? The Reef Slider, very critical, but Zekrom, I feel, is a player that is so essential for this team of Pathways, and we haven't been calling out a bunch because, you know, it's Pencil. We're probably not going to be seeing every single important decision that they make, but really the difference between a Pencil team that works and a Pencil team that doesn't is whether or not that Pencil makes the important decision of whether to paint, whether to shoot, whether to pop that special, and where to throw it, right? It's such a hard line to cross. Speaking of hard lines to cross, this is going to be a very hard line for Pathway to get back into.
Penalty was not applied because double Dawn and Sonic Fan is in position. Bonk did not manage to get in position with the Carbon. That will allow Pathway to throw the strikes. They need to paint this zone, but they lost 2 players. Caro with the Tetras is controlling the space. Pathway needs to go in. Can they get to the zone? I don't think they have the time. They're so close. One zone is taken. It's not enough. Flowerman up 2-1.
Spec was on the far right side of the map, right? The plat area.
Yeah.
And just popped Booyah. And Taxes sent a shot in, and I think Ryu was firing some shots towards them, and before the Booyah Bomb could come out, the armor was shredded, and they lost like the main special that they needed to get back in. And if Spec had just sat for a second or thrown the Booyah Bomb from a different spot, that wouldn't have happened. That is so crazy that both players, both players realized that they could jump on that and that was the deciding factor, right? And it's probably in that moment they're thinking, oh, this is important. They're not thinking, oh, this is what's going to decide the game. But at the same time, I feel like when you find an opportunity like that, you're like, I feel like this is momentum changing, and it was.
It's Splatoon, especially the momentum area. There's stuff everywhere. You're constantly flanked. There's someone above you. There's someone under you. There's someone sharking. There's someone everywhere all the time. You need to remember, okay, there's 2 zones. How do we keep at least one painted? And how do we make sure that the other one with one painting more than the other? And right there, Flowerman recognizing that Booyah Bomb decides the game. That Booyah Bomb, if we deny it, we win. If you know one way to win, just do it and you win. And when you are that far in the tournament, there's all the chaos, there's all the fatigue that you have to endure. But right there, you recognize this is how we win the game. You win the game. And Flowerman, after losing to Pathway 3-0 in upper bracket, they're 1 game away from being our 3rd qualified team, Magic.
I really do feel like this is a matter of stamina, of fortitude, like we were talking about. You know, I am not sure why Pathways are playing as frantically as they are. There's nothing else that I can explain it, right? They're used to this. They're used to playing at such a high caliber. They were doing really well earlier in the tournament, but I think that they're just a touch too tired, a touch too focused on trying to go for the win instead of playing well, playing optimally, playing strategically. That they looked like they were all just kind of diving forward and not identifying exactly what they needed to do to win in that circumstance, you know? And you hate to see it almost, you do. But on the flip side, Flowerman is doing it perfectly. They're maintaining their composure.
And Pathway, they need to remember all these times that they've probably done hours upon hours of X-Rank non-stop playing game after game after game. You still need to win the next game because this is what decides everything. Pathway, back to the wall. Pathway, they've been here before. They were in the upper bracket semis. They were so close to qualifying once, and now they have to do it again. And now history is repeating itself. They got 1 game of Flowerman. They need 2 more. And Flowerman is the team that's looking dangerous right now.
You can see a little bit of strategy coming in here, though, with the stage selections and bans. The bans of Eeltail and Walleye, and then the pick of Hagglefish, they all have one thing in common, and that they are a corridor, and a very thin one at that. Perfect for Taxes to take over the game, just like we saw in Robo Ramen. They just need to replicate that. They need this E-leader to completely step up and take over, and I think that's what we did not see in the past couple of games. Now that I'm thinking about it, it seems like Zekrom was doing a far better job at being that stabilizing force. If you're going to pick E-leader, you need to be getting those picks and disrupting the opponent. Let's see if they can do it. This is qualifying point for Flowerman, and they have to try and do everything in their power to get this win so they can qualify.
And what's important too at this point of the tournament is that this is the map these players can play in their sleep. This is the map that has been the meta of Splat Zones since the game came out. Since before the game came out, in the tournament that happened before Splatoon 3 came out, that was the map where everybody was playing 4 zones. And this is the map that these players have played over and over, where they know the plan, where they don't need as much energy, as much brain time to really know what to do, to really know where to position themselves. And we see this is benefiting Pathway right now. They are in control of the zone, and it's on Flowerman to push forward. Flowerman, just like 3 players, Tetris by themselves can only do so much. They get sent back to spawn. That's a delayed wipe, and it's Pathway really getting their momentum, Magic.
I love what you said about brain time because it feels so true. When you can just focus on executing, you can get 3 in a row like it's no big deal. You can combo your damage with your teammates so effortlessly. This is Spec throwing this Booyah Bomb, able to find the pick, coming down from the armor on Bonk, one of the most key players. Flowerman diving forward, barely caps the zone. They wanted this set to be over ASAP. They get the wipeout, but by the skin of their teeth, they prevented the knockout. Holy guacamole.
What a back and forth. You are not allowed to blink at the end of this marathon, and that's already 2 down on Flowerman. Pathway is coming back stronger. He's pushing in Spec now. Knows that they have so much range with that stuff that they can poke at their opponent. And now activate that Booyah Bomb. They get splatted again. They get splatted again. Flowerman, they know the drill. They come in. The Reef Slider is not going to be coming from the Tetris. And it looks like Pathway are holding the zone, are able to fight. Bonk is isolated to the side. I don't think Bonk will be able to do much from there. Well, they get a trade, but it's still the zone staying yellow. And trades are not enough when
Oh my God,
you need
Ryu.
to push forward.
Ryu's absolutely going crazy. Perfect bombs, perfect shots, perfect movement out of this NZAP. Ryu absolutely stepping up here for Flowerman. This is why you cannot let an E-leader get so dominant. You can't do it. I love that they're playing to focus on their mechanics, to focus on their fights, to try and just give themselves the opportunity to, yes, spend less time thinking so that way they can just get into their flow state, and they're doing so pretty well, but they're just not executing all the time when they need to be. And this time it seems like they are. They finally get Ryu down. They take back their apply the penalty. This is still going on. Flowerman wants this so badly, you can taste it.
And that is the lead kept for Pathway right there. They have their paint around. They're waiting for Flowerman to go in. Kaito with the Tetris is going to be splatted. No Rip Slider for you. The Booyah Bomb aspect now is going to hit the mark right there. And penalties getting pretty low, Magic. We're in the last minutes and Pathway has everything lined up. We are going to game number 5.
I'm out of breath. I am absolutely floored by believe that they counter a little bit confused at the beginning. I didn't realize this was Pathway's counter pick, picking Hagelfish into an E-leader and deciding, no, this is exactly where we need to go to win, and then doing it. Are you crazy? Are you nuts? But
this is Hagelfish. They
Texas
bought them
never
into here. They know
Texas
what to do.
got like 3 really strong plays. That was it, right? Like 3 really strong picks that we saw like early on, and then from there, it felt like there was never an E-leader on the map.
Yeah.
Just no control. They were perfect, and they were constantly throwing out everything, throwing out the whale, targeting down taxes, and I have no idea what's about to happen. I wish I could tell you. I said this at the beginning, right? Like, it's going to be back and forth. It's going to be execution, whoever just gets it at the right time. And I think I was partially correct, but this is also so high level. I can't. My brain is fried.
Magic. We're at the end of words. We are at the end of strategy, and we are at the end of this qualifier. There's only one game. 5 minutes are left to play to decide who will get to play at the highest level of worldwide Splatoon and who goes home thinking they could have.
Gosh, that's crazy to think about. Both of these teams have to be feeling the pressure at this point.
Yeah, Macomart and Humpback on Track are being banned. Pathway doesn't want to see too much ledge camping, I guess. There's bonk.
Shut down the
You don't
carbon.
want to face bonk on Mako or Humpback.
And that makes perfect sense, right? Like, Bonk really has been such an essential player.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe that's why they picked Hagglefish, is because they knew on a longer... on like a longer stage, they could very much shut down like the weird flank routes that Bonk has been going on Manta and on Umabi, right? Like, that was such a smart decision, actually. We're going to Scorch Gorge for Game 5. Scorch Gorge from Flower Man.
What?
Because E-Leader, right?
I mean,
I
don't know. We like.
I guess
E-Liter
okay,
has
okay,
to be a
okay.
factor, but
I guess it's pretty good for Bonk too, right? Because of the ledges, the choke points.
I think this is a mental play because Gorge is a map that plays very differently if you know how to play it. And if you think that you've prepared this map more than your opponent, this is the map where you win. This is the map where the team that knows what to do wins, usually. Because the zone is so hard to paint. It is huge, with that huge pillar in the middle. The drops are so committal. The grades are so long. There are so many things that are complex to play. If you have practiced with this map more than your opponent, you win here. And this is Plowman deciding, hey, we have practiced this map a lot. Have you?
Yeah, that's a really good point. This is Game 5. This is qualification point. This is the final set of the day. This is the final 5 minutes of the day.
All
in
the
the
line.
Splat World Series Eastern Qualifier #1 for the Splat World Series playoffs. Let's see if Pathway or Flower Man is going to take this victory and go the distance.
And right there we see right away Bonk trying to shock on the wall, waiting for the opportunity. And Sonic Fan with the leader, you called it. That leader is going to be so important for Flower Man, who are right now establishing their control around. They're getting a lot of splatter. They're punishing isolated players all around. Sonic Fan now getting top mid. This is where Flower Man is dangerous.
This is exactly what they wanted, right? The jump-ins, right? The total control of this lower ground to let them think, oh god, where's Bonk standing? And although had the Zuka at the time just completely perfectly swapped out with taxes on this E-Leader to put on so much long-range pressure, the Booyah Bomb from Spec actually doing work to displace that charger, but it is not going to be enough. Cap and everyone on the side of Pathway were a little bit separated, and they only have one more chance to get back in. It's 30 ticks left.
That zone is too big. You have to take full control in order to capture it. Right now, the strike's coming in. They're going to neutralize. But right now, Pathway needs to get to the zone. Bonk everywhere. Spec down, throwing the Booyah Bomb is going to get punished, but Booyah by itself cannot do anything. Flower Man, out of nowhere. 3-2 are qualified.
They had an ace up their sleeve. Flower Man decided at the last minute to pull it out and they are able to qualify for the Splat World Series 2026 playoffs after complete chaos through the rest of the set. A clear victory to send them home on the side of Pathway. Flowerman will be playing at the highest level, and in my opinion, have already played at the highest level of competition. They deserve this spot.
That's where we see the difference between the start of the bracket and the last game. You play differently, you have to play differently, and this is where the nerves make the difference. Halfway, were so strong on paper, they were supposed to win. They won in upper bracket 3-0 without breaking a sweat, but Flowerman came back stronger. Flowerman were ready, and you need to win, not just when you're in upper bracket, you need to win when it matters the most. Flowerman did exactly that and are punching their ticket in the Splat World Series.
And imagine how good it feels to upset the team that sent you to the losers bracket, to get the qualification, to find all of the right ways to just grab that victory from every odd against you. Holy cow.
Yes.
I think, I don't know about you, I am out of breath, I'm out of words, and I'm very excited for the future. So why don't we sort of wrap things up here?
Yes.
This has been the first Western qualifier of Splat World Series. There will be another qualifier next week, right? The 25th?
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks after that will be the Splat World Series, essentially the championship to decide who's the best in the world.
Yeah.
So please stay tuned for all of that. There's so much more great Splatoon to be coming here on IPL, here from Area Cup. Thank you to all of the production and staff here, especially Ellie, who has been wrangling us and putting in so much of their heart and energy and soul into this project. You can follow me if you want to. You do not have to. Pat, where can the people find you?
Same. You can find me on Blue Sky, Twitter, and here. Pat J or Tom. It's the best way to find me. And shout out to our 3 qualified teams: FT Win, Rip Pig 9, and Flowerman. We'll see more of these 3 teams in the global gauntlet. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. Stay tuned for more action here on IPL, and we'll see you in the next one.